Hello everyone, welcome back to another Tomato Sauce stream. Today we've got some quite exciting news I'm sure everyone has already heard about, which is we have the new reveals for the new content that should be coming in a few days, which is very, very exciting. Now, the big negative, I guess, is that the next part of the event is on the 28th rather than the 27th. And I usually stream on Thursdays, so I have managed to move things around, so I will be now streaming on the Friday instead of the Thursday, which should be the usual, because who wants to stream the day before the big event when we could stream the big event, right? We basically just want to stream whenever the box is coming out. That's going to be our ideal, and we will be doing a Sunday stream as per usual. Whenever a new Rush product does come out, we do always do the Sunday stream as well. But we're very, very excited. There is some really cool stuff. There is some stuff that we were kind of hoping we'd get that we didn't get. We're thinking things like Daedalus, we're thinking things like a new Join Tech boss. These were kind of things that we were hoping we were going to get, but we didn't really know, and we still don't really know what's going to come in the near future. But as far as I'm aware, this is a core update, which means we kind of have the gist of what we're going to be getting for like the next month, or like until the next core update. So this is going to be pretty cool. But let's see who we have in the chat before we get on to everything else. We have Ursus in the chat. Hello, hello, my friend. Burst Wingman is sick. Yes, Burst Wingman, really, really cool. We have Grand Harrier with the first. Hello, hello, Grand Harrier. Everyone should already know Grand Harrier. He is a legend. We have Corey, Yapping Stream. Oh yeah, that's what we do best. That is 100% what we do best. We have Neighbor Sans. Hate it when the internet tries to nope. Yeah, our internet did go down earlier. Hopefully it remains stable for now. We'll have to wait and see. Fingers crossed. We have Dre AMG. Oh, first time watching the stream. Welcome, welcome on in, my friend. Looking forward to hearing your thoughts on the new box. We have plenty of thoughts on the new box, believe me. The pre-yapping stream yapping was too powerful for the internet, obviously. Always, always, always. We have Zaki Boys in the chat. Pyro, best deck. I really want the Pyro deck to be good. I really like Pyro, like just as an archetype, or like as a type. I know Rush is weird with archetypes, but I still feel it's lacking. I don't see Pyro being super duper great with what we've currently got. Again, the not being able to get over set 3 pass thing is always going to be a big negative, but that's not the only problem they have, but we'll get into that when we get into it. Not gonna lie, Maddox's theme is pretty cool. I mean, let's be honest. Everyone's themes in Duel Links are really good. The music in Duel Links just flat out is just fantastic. Konami DMCA ninjas after Tomato. Yeah, exactly. As soon as they hear us talking about leaks, they always just come out of the woodwork. A nerd named BT, welcome, welcome on in. Another absolutely fantastic content creator, especially around the Rush Duel format. Everyone should go over to YouTube especially and throw BT a follow. We have VN Penguin. Hello, hello, my friend. Gem's not looking amazing. I mean, at least it's just going to be a mini. By the looks of things, there's not going to be a selection. And it's kind of up in the air whether or not we're getting a structure. But like, based on who I've talked to, there's kind of a like, we could get a deck that we don't buy, or we could just not get a deck. That's kind of the data mining opinion that I've seen, but we don't actually know, right? I'm probably going to do 2 max runs. Positive this will bring some change to the format. I hope so, Desmume. Also, welcome, welcome on in. But I want it to. I think at the very least, we'll get some like tier 2, tier 3 decks coming in. I don't know if what we've got is going to overthrow Psychic Dragon. Psychic and Dragon are just really good. Like, they're kind of disgustingly good. We've got Draco Kid with the balls. Okay, are you just Ray 2 now? Is Draco just budget Ray? Is that what's going on? A Gaia to the top, Hero and CYDRA comeback. Potentially, definitely potentially. This is a rerun of the OG series. The rest may be Rogue, but would love to be surprised. I think Gaia has a chance, depending on what we actually end up with. I still prefer the current Rush meta right now. The current meta is a little bit shaky. We'll get into that in a little bit, but we'll see. We'll see. We entered a wild Pokemon battle. Exactly. We always enter wild Pokemon battles. Because like, this is a elite leader battle music, so it's not exactly a wild battle, but you know what I mean. Let's go. Rush, rush, rush. Only 1 speed. Card leak. Why? Sorry, Kim friend. This is Rush time. I feel our pain. Good morning. Hello, Money Chaser. Welcome, welcome on in. Morning, Ursus. MD, broken skills. Rush those things. Killing Duel Links too much. Well, You know, if Duel Links has to quote-unquote die for me to play Rush, all for it. As long as I have a way to play Rush, I'm happy. That's all I need. Now it's 8 PM for me. On my way. Hi. Hello, Milanesso. Welcome on in. Was not expecting Flame Ruler coming in. Flame Ruler is one that was on my list of potential cards to come in, so it's not like too surprising. Is it super necessary? Probably not, but I guess it's like it's a nice thing to have, especially if we're going to be locked to Pyros anyway. Battle Ruler being limit 1 is interesting. I think it makes a lot of sense. That card is historically very, very powerful. When it originally did come out, it was just a good card on its own. Right now, one of the best decks in the game in the OCG is Gaia, using Battle Ruler as like its primary boss, but it has a lot of other cards as like an infrastructure to like hold it up. Like it plays the Ryozai package, it has a lot of consistency tools, and we're not going to have any of that in Duel Links, so it's just not going to be the same power level as it is. But even when it first got introduced into the OCG, the Gaia deck was still very, very strong. So potentially could be really, really good. We'll have to wait and see, really. They don't want full power Gaia. We need Intercepting Gaia. Intercepting Gaia, though, is really good. We don't really have many good trap cards, and giving Gaia access to that in archetype that no other deck can really use, it would be that, and I can't remember the exact wording, but I think Dark Magician can maybe use it. Just skip the streamer's Rush content. It's Dark Magician spell, exactly. Flame Ruler is my Noodle Cope. Hello, Gunkin Suship Shari, welcome. I would really like there to be more noodle stuff, but I understand why there isn't. Where's Mirror Force and Poly Bundles come? You want Mirror Force, of all things? Not even Sakuretsu Armor, just straight to Mirror Force. Polysure is free. We are going to get all the Flame Ruler for other attributes in the future. No. Not as legends, at the very least. There are some cards that do act like that, but they are not legends, I'm pretty sure. If memory serves, Flame Ruler is quite unique in how it works. Gunkin Suship Shari just subscribed with Prime. Thank you so much, Gunkin Suship Shari. Really do appreciate it.
Gunkin Suship Shari just subscribed with Prime.
Thank you, TTS. Does Grand Extreme really deserve a limit 1? Grand Extreme was limited in OCG. And it was really, really powerful when we had really good Sea Serpents to summon off of it. Personally, I don't think it needs to be limit 3 right now. I think it would probably have to be limit 3 in the future, depending on what happens. Oh, it's limit 1 right now, right? Is it limit 1? Let me do a double take of that before I start just yapping out my butt. Yes, limit 1. Not only is it limit 1, it's also we're only getting 1 copy of it because it's a bundle card. So, like, it's kind of double dipping on being limited. So, Grand Extreme historically was really, really good when we got the second wave of Sea Serpent support, which more specifically was the phaser stuff, which is like Deep Go Rush, where we got the maximums. Then, it was really, really, really good because we had really, really powerful cards to summon off of it. We had Pure Glass Spears, which is a fantastic, like, generic card. We also had the 2500 Dark Sea Serpent. I forget what it's called, but it was also another really, really good target for it. But more importantly, this was in the height of 7's Wonder Fusion meta, and that needed you to fuse from Graveyard, like a Miracle Fusion. So being able to say, I'm cheating my guy out cheaper, putting a lot of pressure on the board, and Grave Hating, a deck that desperately needs to set up their Graveyard, it did everything you needed it to do. And so it being limited there, because there were a lot of decks at the time that needed to set up their Graveyard, became very, very powerful. Right now, no, this probably doesn't need to be limited. I mean, if you're only getting 1 copy, I don't see why it has to be limit 1. Basically, this is just saying you're not allowed to play this with Rice, right? And just let them play Rice Terrace. I don't think it'd be that bad anyway. Fish tier 0. So we don't even have any fish. Why Konami release cards I like when I'm broke? Unfortunately, Laser, that's just how they like to roll. At least it doesn't look like we're getting a selection. We'll have to wait and see. Just don't be broke. It's not that easy for everyone. Where is Leviathan Dragon Daedalus? Damn, Konami, yes. Daedalus is something I was really excited for. I was like, if this comes out, Sea Serpents could actually potentially do stuff. Now, it's still a legend. It's still unsearchable. So you would still just have to draw the 1 of for it to actually work. But at least it's something, right? You could do stuff with it. As things are, let's skip down to BT since he's talking about what we talk about. Still saw some level of play when we got the Sea Dragon Graganus, mostly just nuke 5 from Gray's summon stick. Play it as generic pair. It's one of those things though where like, is that tiny little combo, is that enough to warrant limiting it? Right? Is it even enough to have it as a bundle card where we only get a single copy? Like, I think this could have been a bundle and just not been limited, or it could have been in the box and had a different restriction on it. I don't know. It's a weird one. Like, it's obviously historically a really good card, but I don't think it's like completely broken. I don't think this card got really, really good until much later. Y'all ready for the new character burn deck? I still don't think that it's going to do enough burn, personally. Once we get Phaser and the Abyss Kite maximum deck. Now I like being broke, I just hate Konami. Well, fair. Sea Serpent feel like Thunder to me at the moment. Hello, Pro Manicus. Thunder was really good on release, though, and had a really good way to beat set 3 pass, had a really good way to reduce opponents' monsters to attack over them. Thunder was really, really good on release, right? See, the limit. The sea got power crept. Grand Extreme is just good. Yo, hello, Sean. Welcome on in, my friend. I still saw some level of play. We've already read that. I think Konami just hits the non-legend bundle cards to lim 1 right off the bat. Well, you know, is there any exception to that? Is there actually any exception? Slime, I guess, is an exception. So, like, it's not always true, but yeah, I get what you're saying. I do get what you're saying. Hey, Tomato, happy rush update day. Hello, JD Scrub. Welcome on in. Why limit cards you only get 1 of? Why isn't horse limited? Which one's horse? Which horse are we talking about? Shuffling opponent's graveyard is strong. Also can use Seahorse Carrier with Aqua Engine in Umi. Can we use Seahorse Carrier? Is Seahorse Carrier not a light? Does that not work? Sean just subscribed for 3 months. Thank you so much, Sean. This is definitely an exciting day. We're getting subs, we got new news.
Teammate, I just subscribed for 3 months.
Thank you, TTS. Oh, this is a good day. This is a very good day so far. Noodle support from Bundle. It's not really good enough to really be called like good noodle support, but it still technically can be used in the noodle deck. I think noodles are still not going to like really come back into relevancy until we get a new skill or we get the fusion, realistically. Read the skill for Serpent again. Now it's got more modernized text. I'll tell you what, let's hop over. Let's hop over and take a look. Where was the skill at? The skill is Territory of the Sea Serpent King Archive. Skill requirement can be activated if all of the monsters in your constructed deck are water attribute monsters, and all of the monsters except 2 to 4 are Sea Serpent monsters. So if all the cards in your deck have to be water attribute, that means you can't play Seahorse, right? Unless I'm mistaking something. Make the original attack of 1 face at level 7 or higher monster on your field become 2900 to the end of this turn. There's no card in your field zone. You can set Umi from your deck or graveyard once per duel. I don't know why this is once per duel. Does it matter if we have infinite access to Umi? Like, we don't even have Daedalus. Unless this is, like, future-proofed for Daedalus. But then, if you're not going to release Daedalus, like, in the near future, just change the skill then. I don't know, it's weird. It's definitely weird to me. You got a Pyro Vanilla Extender, free summon plus attack boost, along with other neat tools. Noodle is cooking, no pun intended. The issue Noodle has is it still doesn't have a good way to beat piercing. The only real way we have to do that is to just burn. So we have to just attack over our opponent's stuff. If we go all in on the normal monster strat to be able to get the attack boost so we can attack over attack position monsters for a lot of damage, that's now like a lot of cards invested into the deck that don't really like help a lot of the time. A lot of the time just draw into a bunch of normal monsters, not really be able to do anything. Again, I think this is going to make the Noodle deck stronger, but I think it's not going to be higher than Rogue still. I think realistically, the skills that we're getting and the quality of cards we're getting are kind of power creeping the Noodles a little bit. I would really like for them to do a little bit better. But again, I'm really waiting for that fusion. I think when we get Meat Spice, that's when Noodles potentially could come back into the game in like a big way. But I realistically don't think that's going to happen until... probably until it's going to be kind of weak compared to the current meta. Is Hero viable with the new boss monster? It depends what we mean by viable. Hero right now, some people would say is a low tier 3 to like a high rogue deck at the moment. Like people can play that deck to a top 8 finish. Is it going to dethrone the top decks? Realistically, no. Could it potentially be doing a good job? Could it top tournaments? Yeah, 100%, 100%. Basically, Mythic Depths for Rush, but you can boost. Yeah, basically. Maybe they're planning to release it, potentially, but like it's not in the files. And according to the data miners I've spoken to, that like basically means it's not coming out anytime soon, right? I think I was talking to Quaz about it, and he was saying that basically we have confirmed that we're not getting a box after the GRF. So like, again, I don't pretend to fully grasp the ins and outs of what the data miners are able to ascertain from the code that they have in front of them, but I am trusting in the data miners to know that they can do their job, right? Well, their job. They're good at what they do, right? Is I guess a better way to phrase that.
Basil Geese.
Could you not run Pierce? So you could CZ, but you could, one, say that about any deck, and two, if your deck has to specifically run a spell card, usually a 1-of or a 2-of, for example, there are very few exceptions where that can actually be really, really good, such as the Royal Rebels, which has like a very specific game plan. But historically, you're just putting yourself at a disadvantage, you're increasing your chance to brick, and bricking isn't just having a bunch of high levels in your hand. Bricking can be like drawing out like 2 copies of Pierce and then 3 spell traps, and being like, well, I just don't have a play, right? So like Pierce is in general not a very good card to use unless you have a very, very specific reason to. Why do we have to use Umi? When we can use Big Umi, ain't that card treated as Umi? So, yes, but Umi, like, well, we haven't actually got streamer mode on. We should fix that real quick. But historically, just actually, Umi gives our guys a boost. Big Umi weakens our opponent's guys. So, like, it's a bit weird. And usually you just want Umi anyway. Don't the skills only work if you normal the bosses for Noodle, or am I misremembering? So the skill works if you normal summon a high-level monster, and the skill locks you into Pyros being your only high-level monsters. In fact, I don't even think it has... No, it's any high-level monster is what you can use the skill on, but you only get the ability to grab back a monster from your graveyard if it was used on a monster that was summoned this turn. Hello, Akuda. What they meant as a box, they mean we aren't getting a rush box, right? Yeah, I mean, basically anything, right? Because they got, you know, the data miners aren't just looking for rush stuff, they're looking for everything. Does water have a background hater? So we have one for the sea serpents, which is the stream of elimination. There is a fish one, which is very weird. But we don't have that one yet because we don't really have any fish. And we already have the aqua one. There isn't like a water-specific one. I don't think Big Umi is treated as Umi. It's not on the card text. Well, there you go then. Big Umi is not a very good card. To activate, if you have 3 face-up water monsters, that's already an annoying requirement just to get this card on the field. When this card is face-up, all non-water monsters lose 300 attack and defense. So this is going to be like better in some situations than Umi. But, for example, if you're attacking directly, then this is not going to be better, right? If we're... I'm trying to think if there's, like, some actual specific times. I guess if your opponent is playing, like, the Thunders and Machines... Where is Umi's head? Because it's what? Thunder, Machine, Pyro. So it's just Machine and Pyro. So if they're playing Machine or Pyro, it'll be a 400 difference instead of a 300 difference. So, like... but there are some cards that will basically say, do you have Umi or Big Umi? So, you know, there's that. But we should probably actually just start from the beginning and actually start getting into the new stuff. So, Card Trader, new card. Look what it is, guys. It's Legendary Sword. Everyone remembers Legendary Sword. This card is a, I believe it was a Joey card originally. And did see a bit of a... Like, it was also in GX when Chaz was dueling against a brown-haired kid who had like an equipped spell deck, and he had Legendary Sword in that deck. This card historically hasn't really done much, but it's cool, right? It's just a warrior monster gets 300 attack and defense. Realistically, this card's kind of bad. It's a UR. I actually, if I recall correctly, was there a card that uses Legendary Sword? I think there was. No, there isn't then. Unless it's just not in this database. I remember there being something that used Legendary Sword, but maybe there's not. Is for free. I am happy that the animation for monster getting equipped was brought into Duelist. Yes, it does look really, really cool. I mean, all the animations always look fantastic, right? So the next thing we'll take a look at is the bundles and the skill trader update. So we got the Flame Ruler. Flame Ruler's, it's cool, right? Its stats are nice for a level 4. 1600 defense is okay. Its effect to be treated as 2 tributes for the summon of a fire attribute monster in attack position is okay. It's not crazy. It's not anything insane. Sometimes it's nice because it's basically like sort of a +1, right? Sort of a +1 if you squint at it. That's kind of what this does. It's okay. This is primarily going to see play if your skill locks you into only using pyros, for example, or only fire monsters. And then you're going to be like, well, I don't have any other choice. I might as well use Flame Ruler, right? But if you could use like Ancient Gear Golem in your deck, you would play that over this, right? There's not really a reason to play this most of the time. Not equipped cards is bad. Yeah, most equipped cards are quite bad. There are exceptions. There are probably about 5 or 6 total equips in the game that have like seen a decent amount of play. But for the most part, equips are kind of mid. Now, there are some that have seen like some very fringe play and like some very niche decks, but like historically, there's been like only a handful that have been used in like good decks. Then there's Grand Extreme. So special summon a fish or sea serpent monster from your hand face up to your field, then shuffle up to 5 from your opponent's graveyard into the deck. This is, again, a really good card. This, like we were saying earlier, is a lot better when we get better cards we can summon off of it. So Pure Glass was a really, really good one. But Pure Glass is just a ridiculous monster. This card is just broken. So we probably won't see this card for a very long time, but this was a really good target to use with it. Again, incredible stats, incredible effect, and super generic. We're not going to get this. But with the current support we have, BT was saying earlier that we can, or it did see some play just with Graganus. Is it Graganus or Graganus? I think it's Graganus. Okay. Grag. Okay, it's just not showing up. That's fine. We'll go and take a look at it over here. So Graganus, over here, we'll go ahead and open him in his own page just to make things look a little bit easier. Apparently this did see some play. I didn't really play a lot during this time, but during the turn that you normal summon this card, inflict damage to your opponent equal to the number of spell traps on your opponent's field. So you wouldn't even get this effect if we summon it with back over here, with the Grand Extreme. So that's something. So it'd just be a 2500 vanilla. Grave Hate is okay against some decks, not against others. So we'll just wait for the ads to end. We've got another 30 seconds. And when the ads end, we will get back to yapping. I know some people won't have ads and they're like, oh, just keep yapping. But we got to be respectful for the people that are trapped in ad hell. The song's a banger. Oh, yeah. It's like, it's one of those things. Even when really good game franchises kind of like slip down, the music always stays on point, right? Sonic the Hedgehog, maybe in a bit of a downward trend, music is still always fantastic. Right now, the funny thing is, considering how historically good it was in Rush Physical, protection from trap destruction and Grave Hate seems almost useless right now. Yes, 100%. I mean, the trap protection is almost entirely because we don't have Dark Revelation, right? Dark Revelation was a meta-defining card for, like, years, right? That card was unbelievably good for so long that the meta kind of had to evolve around it. So because we don't have that, it does change a lot about how it works. Now, again, Grave Hate is still good. It's just not as good, right? This is still going to be good against decks that want to fill up their graveyard. So we're thinking Psychic, we're thinking Machines. But, like, Dragons aren't really going to care. Dragons don't give a shit about Grand Extreme. And that's like the best deck right now. So it's like, if you're just using this basically to... The way you can kind of look at Grand Extreme is it can sometimes just be Flame Ruler. It's just one card that gets out a boss. And this is just one card that gets out a boss. So depending on how you look at it, these are kind of the same card. Now, that's not strictly speaking true, right? This you can use when you don't have any bosses. You can just set it on the field. You can use it as a beta. This you can set on the field and have it save it for a later turn without having to worry about it getting attacked over. And it has the Grave Hate effect. They're not like one-to-one, but if you like kind of blur the lines, these are very similar cards, especially in how Konami intends for us to use them right now. Ads, exactly. If you haven't got the ads, you haven't got the ads, Gun Constitution Show, because you subscribed. It was used as a beat stick. I saw its oppression. I think Vault had an OCG archive where Grag was used, and it was early on when we had a couple of 2300 fishes. We had what did we have as fish? We had Bluefin. That was like a 2200 fish. What was the other fish we had? I'm gonna quickly go on like a little rabbit hole. I just want to see what other like early fish we had, because we definitely had something. The Salvage Wolffish. Oh, it was this one. It was Samagellon. This one was just ass. I mean, this is in the game right now and it's still ass. I don't think it's going to suddenly see play because of the what we have, but change your defense position monster in your opponent's field to face attack position. That is a way to beat set 3. I didn't actually consider this. I mean, it's still a 2300 attacker, and its effect does require a discard. But... wait, Legendary Sword is in the game. That means we're getting Legend Magician and Legend Strike. No, that's not what that means, I'm afraid. Lord Dark Revelation is nuts. Yes, talk about the support card monster we're getting. What do you mean? Support card monster. Good old support card monster. The new skill that sends normal monsters to the graveyard is cool for cards like Mr. Alchemist, Seahorse Carrier, Secret Order, etc. The question is, would you play that over any other skill just to turn those couple of things on, right? That's the issue. Legendary Sword as a UR, shake my head. Oh yeah, 100%. 100%. Can be used... Can't be used with the skill, though, right. What are we talking about there, Manicist? What are we talking about? Yap, yap, yap. Hello, Dr. Alex. Welcome, welcome. Also, this says they've been added to the skill, the card trade. I haven't seen these in there, so I assume this isn't actually out yet. I don't know, though. Maybe I'm just dumb. But we got some new skills. We'll go over them when we get to them. And now for the juicy stuff. We have Blazing Chemicalization, which has the best looking card in all of Rustals. And I actually genuinely think Chemicalized Salamander looks incredible. This card actually just looks amazing. I was going to be happily experimenting with DM, then forgot this deck struggles with set 3. Yeah, we unfortunately still have 1,000 Knives limited 1. Otherwise, I don't know if that in itself would just fix the issue, but it would give you a chance, right? I think I would, just to see. So all in, do you feel like new players should pull from this box? Ooh, new players? I don't think I would recommend this to new players. Cyber Rush is not bad, but this card is so much better if you can use it to summon out Mirror Innovator, and we just can't do that, which makes Cyber Rush lose a lot of value. So I don't even know if Cyber Dragon... Like, you'll play this card just to have it as an option, but I don't know how often you'll go into it. And then, like, hero players would probably like Burst Wingman. So I think the only reason to go into this, if you are free to play, is to get the Burst Wingman. And that's only if you like heroes and you already have the hero stuff. I don't think I can recommend this, like, to be a Sea Serpent, like... build around box, but again, we haven't tested it, so it's hard to tell. Legendary Sword showing off equip animation support for Grand. Can't use Sammy with Umi skills. Yes, okay. I mean, we'll get to that when we get to it, right? Dragon deck build box is probably still best for new players. Yes. The only problem with the Dragon deck build box is it's kind of boring. And even if you do go into that, you're still going to want at least a Dragia Start F, which means you still have to go and get a UR from a box, which is like kind of annoying. It looks like Heatleo from Sal. It does. And Heatleo also looks really cool. New players just invest into Harpy Lady, then spend gems on decks you enjoy. Yeah, I mean, it depends what players want, right? Some people will be like, I'm a new player, help me out. And what they mean is, I just want to get to COG. Can you help me just build a deck that will do that? And with that, you can COG with anything, right? It's just, you have to just get a little bit lucky if you're playing a worse deck. But if some people will be like, I'm a new player, I want to get into it like actually competitively, I want to play in tournaments, etc. Then that's when I'm going to be like, well, realistically, the Dragon deck build is a catch-all, right? The deck's kind of fun, it's kind of easy to play, so you don't have to like learn all the cards like super in depth. It will be really good in tournaments, and it's really good on ladder, so it's just kind of ticks all the boxes. The only real negative is if you want, you're going to want at least one Dragia Start F. You don't need stuff like the Fortitude Dragons, right? You don't need those. Obviously, they'd help, but you don't need them. But let's go through these brand new cards, shall we? A lot of times, even if people don't want to play in tournaments, they still want tournament level decks. Yes, I think that is quite a normal thing. I personally, I'm the kind of person, I don't like playing a deck unless it's finished. Because I'm like, this just feels... It feels like a stopgap. I'm not actually playing the deck. I'm playing the demo version of the deck. So I don't like playing any deck unless I've got every single card for that deck, or at least the build that I'm trying to get to. And I think a lot of people are exactly the same. And that's completely fine. They treat it like an RPG almost, where you just want to get the best. You want to be the best version of yourself. You want to be have the best version of your deck, even if you're not going to take it to like the heights of competitive levels. You still just want to complete it, right? You want it to feel like it's complete. I'm the same way. What's up, Grand and Mono and Manicist? Well, yeah, we've got some lovely people in today, haven't we? New cards, please. Dragons suck. I mean, it's opinion, right? A lot of people really like dragons. But we will get into these. So first things first, Elemental Hero Burst Wingman. So this card came out and immediately took OCG by storm. This card immediately started seeing tops all over the place. But there is a caveat. First off, OCG tournaments, especially like at the local level, are quite small. Generally, like an 8-player tournament is like reasonably big. Like a lot of tournaments over in Japan can be like 5 players and less. If you get like a 16-player tournament, that's considered a very big tournament. But it's when you get to like the regional level, that's when you start getting these massive events. We're talking like 64 plus 128-player tournaments. You only get that at like the big premier events. It's not like a locals in TCG where you're easily hitting like 50 to 100 people, right? When this came out, it was a structure deck. So a lot of people suddenly got into the game via this card. And a lot of people were trying this out, so there were going to be a lot of hero mirrors. So that can somewhat skew the results. That being said, Hero has still proven itself to be a pretty good deck overall. Now, Pure Hero has not been as good as like mixing heroes with other things. We've seen like Hero plus Wind Warrior has been doing quite good, which is like Music Princesses. But obviously, we don't have any of that stuff in Duel Links. So how is this card in a vacuum? Well, in a vacuum, this card is still very, very good. Level 6 means it can get under some stuff. It's not going to get under everything, but there are some effects that say like if your opponent has like a level 7 on the field. And this will get under that, which is kind of nice. We can send the top card of a deck to the graveyard, and one face-up warrior on your field gains 1,000 attack. Now, usually you'll choose itself, so it'll go up to 3,100. Then you can destroy a spell trap on your opponent's field, and just a free pop is actually really nice. It's really, really nice to just be able to say, and that's gone, and I'm 31, so I can attack over pretty much anything that isn't a maximum. So this card, even in a vacuum, is still really, really good, and I do really, really like it. Now, we can also combine this with our skill. So let's go and just get the skill up real quick so we have it as reference. Got Hero Rush Rising. So it can be activated by sending one card from your hand or field to the graveyard. If all the monsters with 600 or more attack in your constructed deck are light attribute warrior monsters, and all the monsters in your constructed deck are warrior type monsters. So this is a warrior, so it still work. Make one face-up monster on the field lose 600 attack and defense. So because we can get it to 31, that means now we can attack or crash into a 37, which is pretty good, until the end of this turn, and then we can add fusion. So we have infinite access to fusion. We can attack up to 37 now, and we can get back row out of the way, because realistically, we're going to have 3 Burst Wingman, and probably we're going to be playing all 3 copies of the Avian Spell Tactics. We're going to have a lot of way to just clear back row completely out of the way. We also now don't necessarily have to run Tantalum, because this is going to deal with the same things Tantalum can basically deal with. I mean, again, if we just bring up Tantalum again, we can just have a quick look. So, send the top card of it to the graveyard, gain 400 attack. Okay, so it goes up to 29, and then does the same thing. This can crash into 35s. Okay, that's neat. Then if you have a face-up warrior-type fusion monster on your field, you can return a face-up level 8 or lower on your opponent's field to the owner's hand. So this will still be really good in a lot of situations. But if it was 9 or lower, I would still be like, okay, Tantalum, definitely still running this. As is, I don't know if I would find room for Tantalum. Like, potentially. Like, we're going to have to do some deck building and obviously test it out when the cards come out. But Wingman can kind of free up space in the deck for cards to be used instead of Tantalum. So potentially there is something there. I think we have more reason to run Tantalum now. I think you are absolutely wrong, Manicust. I think there is not more reason. There's no real benefit because we can't search it. So, like, if you're like, oh, we've got the Mana Caneta, I'm like, this isn't more a reason to run Tantalum, at least not in my opinion. Let's try and catch up with the chat as well, because we are getting behind a little bit as we're yapping. I'm just saying, to be honest, sometimes I'm missing one card. It feels inconsistent. Kind of annoying to wait 3 days for this. I really want to experiment. Hi. It's the Rush Leaks Day. It's POG. It's the 8th player tournaments are basically their locals. Hi, Mono. The fact that it says 3100 is also kind of unique. Yes. This will be something that happens a lot more going forward, but lingering attack boosts do happen a lot more as we get deeper into Go Rush. We do kind of have that as a skill on the Hyper Engine Vast Vulcan skill, so that's at least kind of nice. Hello. The attack buff lasting to the end of the opponent's turn is pretty good. I wish there were more effects like that. You can give 1000 attack to other warriors too, or maybe just one Tantalum. Wingman, even more than annoying. I think we have more reason to run Tantalum. I'll cook. Hello, Dwan. Welcome. Only one Tantalum, I think. The new Rising Hero seems just okay. I don't know. One is enough. Yes, the new Rising Hero I'm not a big fan of, and we'll get to that when we actually get to it, but what I would kind of rather have is just, like, summoning out 2 Burst Wingmans in one turn can now just let you get to, like, 41, and now you can attack over, like, even bigger guys, which is just really good. The only issue there is how do you summon 2 of them in one turn? That's kind of difficult, right? So, Tomato, how much do we need this fusion? I think if you want to be playing the hero deck going forward, I think you are 100% going to need this guy. Now, the plus side with playing Tantalum is you can get up to 39 just on its own, right? And then you can attack over 4,000s, but it's like, how relevant is that going to be? It depends, right? If your opponent, for example, gets out Galactica Zyphos on a Oblivion, suddenly big guys are going to be back, right? If your opponent is going to be summoning out Yggdrago, it could be really, really good there as well. So, like, but then it's like, how many resources are we going to have? Summoning out your fusion is still 3 cards, right? Then if we want to summon, like, a Tantalum as well, that's now tribute fodder, boss monster. We've now got a 6-card investment to be able to attack over something big. And that's also the same card investment to summon out just 2 Burst Wingmans. But in that case, you'd need an extra copy of fusion because in order to fuse twice, or you'd have to have the fusion already on the field. So, like, maybe we use the skill, get back fusion, set it on the field. Then the next turn we activate the fusion, fuse out a Burst Wingman. Then we use the skill to bring back the fusion to hand, and then or set it back onto the field. Then activate it again. That could also be pretty good. So, like, there is some cool stuff we can do with this. I do think this is going to be really, really good. Is 1 enough? I personally think the hero deck is probably not going to be ending games, like, super duper quick. So I would probably recommend getting as many of this as you possibly can. I don't think this is probably going to be okay as a one-off. I mean, it could. There is a world in which one of this is enough, but I would say 2 minimum. Just because you're going to want to summon this every turn that you possibly can. But saying that, even the hero deck as it is right now doesn't necessarily get Flame Wingman out every turn. I do think more is always going to be better with this card. This isn't like a one-time summon. This is a spam it out as much as you can kind of card. Now we'll get the third copy. Wingman with a legendary sword is basically a maximum. If you're not running Tantalum, it's Loki's worst Shototsu. I think of the same thing. I will get all 3 copies. I have 0 gems. I'll wait a few months. We run Poly Legend plus Fusion. I don't think Poly is worth using in the hero deck, personally. So polymerization's value comes from fusing 2 high-level monsters from your hand. That is where it gets value. If you don't need to do exactly that, there is no reason to not just use fusion, right? Because if you just get the guys on the board and fuse them together, whoop-de-doo, you've done it anyway. And so that means heroes, and to a certain extent Metarion, don't give a shit about poly. Not really. The other fusion monsters that do use a high-level monster, so like, you know, Seven's Paladin, the Yami Ruler, the Yami Tarasu, those sort of fusions that still use big guys can get more value out of fusion, but I still don't think it's going to be a ton. I still think you'd rather just use like Pot of Greed in those decks. So like... but thank you for the follow, Flackinto. I wish the heroes wasn't tied to a structure. I'm poor. Yeah, that is a very big shame, Gritty. Welcome on in, by the way. That'll pog 2 or 3 because grind games are a thing. Yes, realistically, I don't think heroes are going to... Again, they're not going to combo off. They're not going to blow your opponent up. They are going to play grind game. They're going to slowly whittle down what your opponent has. They're not going to end the game immediately. They're not dragons, right? Star of the Beginning when? It is so unbelievably early for Star of the Beginning, Manicus. That is just definitely not happening. But since in Duel Links you can search fusion, I don't think Poly is good right now. Yes. I mean, Poly will be better as we go on, especially when you want to fuse, again, like 2 big guys. Like, Gaia is the perfect place for that deck, because if you're actually just playing regular Gaia and regular Cursor Dragon, and you want to fuse them together, there is no good way to do that. So fusion or polymerization is the way to do that. Going forward, we'll get stuff like... there's a Dark Galaxy fusion. I forget what he's called. It's like Gigantomachia, I think. Yeah, this one. Like Voidvelg Gigantomachia. This is made using Requiem and Cryosaur. So, for anyone that doesn't know, Cryosaur is this. No, it's not. It's this one. So, Cryosaur is a level 8 monster, and Requiem is a level 8 monster. So, there's no good way to summon this, because you'd have to, you know, summon, tribute to get out the boss, summon, tribute to get out the boss, and then activate fusion. That is a pretty big 7-card investment to summon this guy, which you're not going to do. But if you could use polymerization to get this out, suddenly you've like cut back a lot of that chaff, right? 3-star restart are not bad. I don't know. Are we talking about specifically in the hero list? Does the hero list play any limit 3 cards anymore? Because it used to play... It was playing Ghost Cyclone as its limit 3. I haven't played heroes since Star Restart got limited to 3, so I can't think if there's anything in there that you would want to use. Aside from the skill that literally searches Poly. The only time Poly would come up for hero wouldn't come up since the Neos Fusion card are Contact Fusion, yeah, basically. A hero's limit 3 can be flexible. Well then, yeah, perfect. You just run... I don't see why you wouldn't run 2 or 3 copies of Star Restart in heroes, right? But yeah, I think Burst Wingman has a lot of potential. The big negative, the big negative of Burst Wingman. How does this deck still beat like Dragon and Psychic? Like realistically, those decks can do so much. They can apply so much pressure. They can inflict so much damage. I don't see a deck that wants to scrap and play a grind game doing super good against those decks. Now, what you can do is summon out like a Flame Wingman, attack over like a 3000 Dragon Boss, assuming that you haven't just been OTK'd. Get in for like 3000 damage, Maybe you can close out a game quickly by doing that sort of strategy, but realistically, I don't think that's going to happen more often than you're just going to get killed by dragons. So it's like, eh. With Will and Flame Wingman Burn. I mean, that's what I'm saying, right? I don't think the Flame Wingman Burn is going to be enough. That being said, Flame Wingman Burn plus the fact that we have Piercing Samurai, because this is a warrior deck, is still going to be pretty good. So there is still quite a lot you can do there. Do you think Konami will release a Gaia structure deck soon, considering the leaked cards and what we have? I tell you, since a lot of people have been curious about this, I will go ahead and show some of the information that I have received. So we got this first. I guess I'll make this bigger so y'all can see. So we got this from the data miners, or from some of the data miners. So Polymerization, Battle-Tested Gaia the Fierce Knight, Gaia Conqueror of Champions, Swift Gaia the Dragon Champion, Change Slime Dragon Champion mode. These cards are all cards that have been like put into the files, right? So we don't know exactly how we're getting them, but because of how they've been put in, it's looking like it's not going to be any kind of structure deck, or at least not a structure deck in the shop, right? Because it's all like under certain like code. So here we have like official translations of some of the names. So Firefall Wall, not Firefall Blaze Barrier. So again, these are all cards that are probably just going to be on like NPCs, like Maddox's like level 40 deck or his level 50 deck or whatever. Then we have this, which is like Trader. The cards are coming and there's no structure coming, so it's like 99% the Trader. This basically told me that we know the cards are in the files. We know the cards are going to be usable. They're going to be playable in some way. But if there was going to be a box or a structure deck, so selection boxes included, there would be clues in the code. And apparently that just isn't the case. We just know we're getting these cards somehow. There's literally just no shop items in the data mine. It's just Maddox box plus 2 bundles. They come at the same time as the box too, so like that just has to be a trader. Also, we got all the skills from the core, so no box after GRF. So this is all the information that I got. There's not like a ton going on here, but basically, by the sounds of it, we're not going to be getting anything in the shop. Now, we could get just given stuff. We could get them as campaign rewards. We could get them as card trader, but by the sounds of it, they're not going to be sold to us in the shop. That is basically what I took away from that. At the very least, Hero doesn't completely cry if we don't have TSA against a Dragon Fusion anymore, since with skill it wasn't enough. Yes. Yeah, 100%, 100%. I mean, again, you can break dragon boards, but dragons will generally go on the defensive until they can kill you. That's the issue. A lot of the time, at least. That's almost 100% confirmed. There is a rush campaign, so think so. So it can be like ticket possibility as well, right? Still free to play, but not specifically. I mean, we just don't know. We kind of have a lot of hints as to what we don't think it is, rather than we know what it is, right? It's really weird. So then is it possible that there will be another campaign for polymerization? Yes. So I spoke to Quaz about it, and he seems to think that it's going to be a card trader card. I personally think that's a bit weird. So I'm not convinced by that, but there is a chance, right? We can't say for certain that it's not going to just be like that, right? I still think it would be weird. I think it makes more sense to make like a lifetime mission reward, or just make it like a campaign reward. Maybe like on the day Maddox drops, we get like, because we're also getting the in-game event, right? If we go back over to here, we're getting the Rushdall bonus trial, and I've seen some people say that they think this will have something to do with the the Gaia cards. So like, maybe, we don't know. We don't really have a precedent for this. The last time I think we had the bonus trials was when it was the, what was it? It was the pre-GRF, right? And we had some almost like fully built decks that they could let us like try out. So like maybe we could like get missions that just give us Gaia stuff as we play through. Maybe they give us a Gaia trial deck to play. Like we genuinely don't know. We're just entirely speculating right now, right? So what's the... So wait then, what's the Rush SD campaign? Again, we just don't... All we can do is speculate. That's all we can do at the moment. You need more C7 support, 100%. Trade or PvP tickets for Gaia is my guess. or both, potentially. They could go with the route of invite a friend campaign, and then Gaia cards are like free structure deck for the campaign. That would be cool, and also a little bit annoying, because now you've got to find new people or make your own second account, which is just kind of a little bit frustrating. Again, it's no structure. That would be annoying for sure. Again, it could be... Right. What we know is there is no structure deck that will be sold in the shop. We don't know there isn't a structure, right? So the clue we got is not a shop item, and then we inferred from that it wouldn't be a structure. But technically it could still be a structure, right? That would be annoying for sure. All Gaia cards are UR. Exactly. That was another thing. If they all went into the card trader, I think putting like 4 URs all at once into the card trader is super weird. Like, it's not impossible. I'm not saying they definitely wouldn't do it. It's just super weird. Yeah, I can see Konami doing that. It was around Zuijo Unlock event, I believe. Yes, 100%. Trader cards, yes. Please talk about what we do know, I guess. We don't know a lot. We just know this stuff at the moment. But, you know, people always kept asking questions about what's going on with the Gaia stuff. I thought I'd mention it briefly before we, like, get super deep into it. What do you think is the best archetype to invest in the long term? What do you mean, like, out of this box? Because, I mean, I will always approach this from the perspective of someone that has played the OCG. From that, the hero deck is the only one of these decks that is still seeing good play using most of the stuff. Like, the Gaia stuff will, but we don't know what's going on with the Gaia stuff yet. So, like, assuming we get the Gaia stuff, Gaia and hero is going to be, like, the way to go. But even then, like, this hero stuff still does see some play in competitive OCG, but apparently we're in another ad break, which is very frustrating. But it's one of those things where, like, the key core of the OCG hero deck is the Neo stuff, and not actually, like, the Avian, Burstinatrix, Flame Wingman stuff, so... Again, I think Gaia will have the most longevity. Just, like, in a vacuum. Yeah, exactly. Exactly what XEs is saying. OCG doesn't have skills. So skills can absolutely carry, which makes it really hard to predict, right? So again, all I can do is give you the information I've got, which is, in OCG, this did well. Pretend dragons don't exist, then give us what you think is good. Well, I mean, that's going to be heroes. I think Vanishing Heliacal Riser could be good. I think Cyber Dragon is currently good, so it will still be good. I think the actual best card that they're getting is probably the Joint Up Rushhorn. My reason for guessing a structure was because the banner for the Rush Challenge had a structure deck icon in the banner. Yes. I mean, that's fair enough. Right, the ad break will be over in a few seconds. We'll have some of my cold coffee. Alright, so the ad should be Jova. But yes, it's difficult. It is difficult to say what is going to be good. Just because, again, we don't have skills in OCG. We can look at the current skills we have, but realistically, anything could be good. Like, Vanishing Heliacal Riser, not ever really been very good in the OCG. Like, it saw like a little bit of play in some decks, but I don't recall this card ever being like big or doing much of anything. But because it has a skill, now this card potentially could be kind of good, you know? So it's one of those weird things where Konami can make any bad card they want suddenly really, really good by giving it a good skill. And that's what we really have been hoping for with a lot of this stuff. Like, I mean, Bender Break was like the OG one, where we were like, give Bender Break a good skill, this card could actually be kind of good. And then they gave us nothing, because the skill they gave it was dog shit, which is a bit of a shame. Yeah, good deck can also get overshadowed by other decks' skills. Exactly. But again, in a vacuum, Gaia is going to be the best stuff to go into, in my opinion. Alright, let's take a look at Vanishing Heliacal Riser. So we did predict this card was coming, and it is coming. If you have 2 or less cards in your hand, shuffle 1 monster from your graveyard into the deck. This card gains 200 attack at the end of this turn. Okay, 26. That's not bad. We're losing a card from our graveyard, putting it back in the deck. That's also pretty good. That can be quite useful. We have to have 2 or less cards in our hand. That's a funky requirement, but it's what it is, I guess. And then, if we have a face-up spell card on the field, you can draw 1 card. And this is the really good part of this effect. So, we can get a 2600 attacker that gives us a free draw, which is actually really, really nice. Then, if we go over to our skills, we can see that we've got the Galactica Rising skill. So it can be activated during a turn that you normal summon a level 4 monster. This is the weird part of this. We can only use it on the turn that we summon a level 4. But you can't really use this with a level 4, so it's a bit weird. If your constructed deck contains at most 1 equipped spell card, and like Galaxy, send either 1 normal monster or Galacterial Ore or Zephyros from your deck to the graveyard if you've normal summoned a monster with 1500 or 25. So this is where it gets weird, because there aren't any level 4 monsters that have 1500 or 2500 defense. So you have to get out a level 4. And then also get out your Heliacal Riser. Which is just, like, really weird that it's doing that. But once you've done that, add it to your hand instead, so it's an extra plus, and you get Piercing. Now, the interesting part of this is this says monsters with 1500 defense inflict piercing damage. Which means, if we are somehow able to get out more than 1 copy of Vanishing Heliacal Riser, they will all gain piercing. If we can use one of them, we can probably use the other one's effect, which means we would have 2 monsters that are 2600 attack that can get piercing. Which is like, again, it's not super busted, but it's okay, especially since both those monsters will give us a plus and the skill will also give us a plus. So, although we are investing quite a lot to get these guys out, they're effectively like 3-card investments. We will get 3 of those cards back if we do summon 2 and use the skill and use both of their effects. So, it's only a 3-card investment to get out 2 Vanishing Heliacal Risers with Piercing. Which, like, is that busted? No. Is that going to suddenly be like, oh, amazing, crazy? No. How, a 2600 Pierce? That doesn't, like, beat Dragons or Psychic, realistically. But it's nice. It is a nice little thing to have, right? Again, it's a deck that wants to grind. You want to, like, put pressure on your opponent slowly, build up a board, beat them up over the course of several turns. Whereas Dragons will just OTK you if you try and do that to them. So it's like, if only Riser could return any card from graveyard and not just a monster, you'd be able to use that in Galaxy Secret Order to recycle your Secret Orders. Or just Legends, right? Just put, like, anything back in your deck is going to be really, really strong, right? You know, if you put Negate Attack back in your deck, if you put Pot of Greed back in your deck, be absolutely fantastic. Amnesia has 1500 defense, but that is not getting run in this deck, right? Realistically, I don't know how you'd fit it in. If you're playing 3 Riser, and then you want to play like 3 Amnesia, that's now 6 bosses, and then you need level 6s to do anything with Amnesia. I think you either play it entirely as an Amnesia deck, or you play it as a Heliacal Riser deck. I think if you try and mix the two, it's going to get weird. And I think if you're going to play Amnesia, you're better off using the Amnesia-specific skill, because you'll be less likely to brick, because that skill sends a lot of your level 6s to the graveyard, so you don't just draw it into them all. It's an awkward one to build, put it that way. But yeah. Heliacal Riser, I think this card is okay. I think this card could see some fringe play, but I think because, again, of the existence of the better decks in the game, I don't see this as being, like, anywhere near a tier 1 competitor. I would really like it to be, but we don't have the traps to survive getting OTK'd, and we can't OTK our opponent. We can't really apply a ton of pressure, because that's always going to be the issue with the meta we're currently in, is your opponent is probably going to be setting a bunch of cards. So you now need to be able to summon out guys and apply pressure through their set board. Okay, that's fine. Bit of piercing, a bit of burn, a bit of multi-attack, that's fine. We can apply a bit of pressure. But then, the dragon deck especially, then gets to say, right, because you've now got aggressive against me, you turned on my skill, so now I can search the stuff I need to just OTK you. At which point it becomes basically like, have negate attack or die. Now, obviously, it's not quite that simple, because we do have things like Forever Freeze. But it's basically have the trap cards or die. And you can't always be in such a privileged position where you can just wait until you draw your traps. And if you do that, and you're just like, pass, I finally drawn my traps, I'm ready to go aggressive, your opponent has also drawn a bunch of cards. So one, they could just naturally draw into all of the combo pieces to summon out their Fusion Dragons. Or they could just draw their back row hate and then pop your trap cards that you've been spending ages drawing out to actually get. So it's awkward. It's very awkward. I don't really know how we fix the current issue with the current meta, which is any new deck that comes out has to somehow not get OTK'd and also probably OTK your opponent back to like keep up. It's awkward. It's very awkward. Hello, Victor. Welcome, welcome. But yeah, again, I think these are potentially like okay cards and like pretty good, but I don't really see them dethroning the current top dogs. The next up we have Cyber Rush. Always has more than one strategy. Yeah. So Cyber Rush Dragon, made using 2 Cyber Dragons, okay. Same material as a Cyber Twin, has the same stats as a Cyber Twin, is the same level as a Cyber Twin. Your opponent has to have a monster on their field, but then we can draw until we have 5 cards in our hand. This is a little bit annoying because this would be a really cool turn 1 play to like slam this down, use this effect, get out another boss monster. But we can't do that. So like, this is always a reactive play. But then we send 4 cards from our hand to the graveyard. So we'll always have 1 card left in our hand, and then we can special summon a machine. So either you can use this to dig for a trap card, is what you'll probably use it for, or you use it to cheat out a machine from your deck, right? So using this to like dig for a negate attack is actually pretty good, because sometimes you might just need that to survive. And that is something you can do with this card, because you don't have to, again, summon a machine. So you can. So that's like probably the most interesting way to use this. Again, historically, the card you'd want to summon off of this is Innovator, because it's a big 2 tribute monster that can get piercing, that can boost its attack to be really, really high. The cards you just put in your graveyard has now fueled him, so you're able to like put those back into your deck if you want to, but you can't do that. It's ugh. Ancient Gear Golem can't be special summoned. There you go. It's awkward. It's very awkward. It's very awkward. Now that I think about it, since Amnesia skill doesn't run Secret Order, the equip spell doesn't conflict card-wise. Very true. We just need more trap cards, man. I mean, I don't think more traps fundamentally solves the problem, but it does help a lot, right? Can I stop being popular every time I come in here? Every time I come in here, I get hundreds of text. Well, that's just how it goes. Cheat out Ancient Gear Golem. Yeah, you can't do that. Unfortunately, ranked referee. Unfortunately, Rush Dragon can't cheat Ancient Gear Golem since it cannot be special summoned. Yes. But again, like, this is a card I think you'd run as, like, a 1 or a 2 of, because you don't need, like, all 3 Cyber Ends in your deck, right? So you'd probably play this card. I don't know how often you would use it. I think the time it's most likely to come up is probably just going to be, I need to dig for a trap card, or I'm going to die. And that is when I would use this. Otherwise, probably not going to bother. But that is still a good use of it, right? And then we get the face card of the deck, Chemicalized Salamander, a Pyro monster. And God, it looks so beautiful. But we can send, or shuffle, 3 Pyro-type monsters from our graveyard into the deck. All face-it monsters on your opponent's field lose attack equal to the number of monsters on your opponent's field, in your opponent's graveyard, sorry, times 100 to the end of this turn. Now, this effect ain't bad. Shuffling cards back into your deck, okay, that's not too bad. We have to get loads into the graveyard to use this, but that's kind of fine. Reducing your opponent's attack, also really good, and it hits all of them. The issue is, early game, this is going to be kind of mid. Late game, this is going to be potentially quite good, right? If we can hit like 8 to 12 kind of monsters, get your opponent like down by 800 to like 1200 is actually not bad. But this card still only weakens your opponent's entire board by a bit. It's not like an insane amount. We're not like going to get all their attack down to 0, like a Mirror Gear Star or something like that. And even then, we still have to somehow make enough of a board to actually like kill them. Because again, this deck probably ain't OTKing. Like, you could maybe, like, put this in, I don't know, like, you can't even combine this with Noodles and try and combine it with, like, the Spice the Noodle Ninja, because it doesn't really work out, because the skills have different restrictions, but, like, it's just not, on its own, I just don't think this card is good enough to, like, do anything, like, crazy. Cyborg Sage. Issue with the... Also, hello, Sakadetsu. Issue with equip spells is that you can't use it, use the trap to flip things with it, but I think it's better choice. You would use it to get Rush Horn. Well, yeah. Overrush rare. Rush Dragon can also be kind of fun with something like Light Star Sign. Potentially. Although I still think in that situation, you would probably still rather go into Cyber Twin. It's one of those things, right? Cyber Twin always had the issue of it can attack twice, but if you can't get like 3 monsters on the board, it still doesn't really do anything. Like clear the board, doesn't get damaged through. So what you could have done in those situations would be go into Cyber Rush, get out a big piercing guy, bam, right? Because realistically, the guy that you summon with Cyber Rush that's limited, that can be used within the Cyber Dragon deck with the Cyber Dragon skill. Like, what are you summoning of this? Like, Cyber Assault Dragon? Realistically, I don't see that being particularly good. Hero got a major buff with this box. I mean, Hero got a buff. I don't know if it's going to be like a crazy, crazy big buff. I think it's going to be substantial. I don't think it's going to be like necessarily absolutely insane. But the Salamander will eventually get a fusion. When Salamander gets its fusion's actually kind of nice because its effect is that it pops all of your opponent's back row. And then you get to reduce your opponent's monster's attack by 1,000 per back row popped. So that can just win the game, right? If your opponent's got a bunch of back row, you summon out a guy that wipes their entire back row and reduces their entire board by 3k. That's probably lethal, right? Especially in a 6k format. Is the new CYDRA stuff good or nah? The new CYDRA stuff is okay. We talked about it just now, Kasara, but Cyber Rush, I think the most interesting way to use this is just to dig for a trap card. I think that's going to be like the best way to do it. I actually think the best card Cyber Dragon is getting is Joint Tech Rush Horn, ironically. But then it's like, would you even play it? You'd have to take out Rice Terror Secure, right? But the high roll potential of just drawing into your one of Unsearchable Rush Horn is really good. Like, again, just a Cyber Twin with this is 3,100 double attack pierce is so powerful. That could just end the game. But then we get into our SRs. And first thing, this is the most surprising SR for me. Clashing Twin Tides. So reveal a level 7 or higher fish or sea serpent type monster in your hand to your opponent, shuffle it into the deck, draw 2 cards. Okay. It's just a bit of consistency. Now, the reason this is weird is, first off, as you can see, this is a Japanese card. What that means is, this card is new, right? Any card that is on the DLN database and hasn't got an English updated image is a relatively new card. What makes this so interesting is this is the first spell of this kind that we're getting into Duel Links. Now, there are plenty of spells like this that are effectively lose a card from your hand, draw 2, right? There's a lot of cards that are like this. There is Ship of the Seven Treasures, which is discard a monster, draw a card. If the card you discard was level 7, draw 2 cards. There is Charm of Saturn, which is if you have a level 6 monster on the field, I think it's just discard, draw 2. There is Trade-In. Everyone knows Trade-In. Discard level 8, draw 2. There are, as we go further through, we get more and more cards like this. There's one which is like, get rid of a light spellcaster. There's one which is discard a dinosaur, draw 2. There's discard or send an insect from your field to the graveyard, draw 2. There are a lot of consistency tools like this, right? But we haven't had any of them in Duel Links so far. And so I was kind of the opinion that, okay, well, the skills offer a lot of consistency anyway. We have 10 less cards in our deck, which means naturally the decks are more consistent. Maybe they just won't give us these spell cards because if we get too much consistency, it might get a bit weird. But here we go. We are actually getting them. So this is quite interesting. I'm actually wondering if there's any kind of like small engine of like fish or sea serpent that we could do with this. The issue is it has to be a level 7 or higher. That is the big weird thing with this, right? Because we have to have a level 7 in our deck. It has to be a fish or a sea serpent level 7. And again, or it can be higher, so it can be a level 8 as well. And then that card specifically has to go back into our deck. It doesn't go to the graveyard, and a lot of the time, like, there isn't a normal monster that would meet this requirement, so we couldn't use like Secret Order on anyway, but like, graveyard is probably better more often than not. Clashing is why I think Serpents will have some potential, but not a lot. It's a water deck, so I'll make it work. Rice Terrace is dead 70% of the time, and that equip is live 100%. that is not strictly speaking true. If you don't have any monsters worth attacking with, you're not going to be using Rushhorn, right? So I get what you're saying, but I do think it is skewing the practicality of the card a little bit. Trade-ins, add that Clashing Phaser card. You might say, no, it wasn't. It's a Phaser card, use it against Manabu. So it makes sense since we're getting Clashing. You're welcome for the explanation. This card is bad, but Gaia, best deck. Wait, you talk about Clashing Twin Blades? Clashing Twin Blades will be, if you're playing level 7 Sea Serpents in your deck, I think you are playing Clashing Twin Tides. Then there's the Mechaniter. This card is weird. So this card's very similar to Shitotsu, as Ari did mention earlier. This card is going to be okay if we're playing Tantalum. If we're not playing Tantalum, I do not see a reason to use this card. And that's just because Shitotsu is going to be better most of the time. Shitotsu has 1,000 more attack. Shitotsu can bring back any 1,000, which is Argent and Avian, so it has more targets. And Shitotsu can bring back monsters in defense mode, because you can special summon to the field rather than put them in your hand. So this is going to be better like if we want the card in our hand for whatever reason. But it doesn't plus us, so we're not getting like a plus. It's still going even, just like Shitotsu. So special summoning is always going to be better than putting it into our hand most of the time. So again, if you want specifically Tantalum, this card is better than Shitotsu. If we don't specifically want Tantalum, we'd rather have Shitotsu, right? And even then, Shitotsu doesn't really see play at the moment anyway. The Gaia doesn't go good if it's selection box. But it looks like we're not getting a selection box, Victor. We've already kind of been over that, but it's looking like there's not going to be a selection box. Yeah, this card is useless. I mean, that's... Yeah. I don't even know if you'd play Shitotsu at the moment, but I think if you're going to play this or Shitotsu, you probably just play Shitotsu, but, you know. Now, there's no signs of selection box or any box. Yeah, that's basically what we were talking about before. So then we have Monster Calling. Monster Calling is a cool card. It's weird we're getting Gaia support before we get the Gaia stuff. I don't know why this isn't just going to be with the other Gaia stuff. But, okay, whatever, right? It's fine. Send one monster from your hand to the graveyard, draw one card. Then you can special summon one non-effect monster, 2,000 attack or 2,100 defense from your graveyard face at your field. So this is meant to be used with Cursed Dragon and Gaia the First Knight, but you can also use this with Dark Magician. This does technically plus you, and you... Well... This does not technically plus you, because you're drawing a card, summoning the monster, but you're losing this card from hand. No, this does technically plus you. Yeah. No, because you lose a card from your hand as well. So no, this breaks even if you get the special summon off of it. We got there in the end. We got there in the end. But you can, technically, run this at a loss. You can minus, like, 1 yourself just to get a draw. I don't think any deck's going to bother doing that, but, like, it's sort of like Stealth Agic in that way, where you can just do that, right? It's super weird. It's super weird. Yeah, Tantalum is the only reason to run the new Rising Hero. I mean, tell me otherwise. There's 12 URs. None makes sense to be there otherwise, unless Magmax is the level up reward. Well, we don't know, right? But again, just talking to the data miners, we'll just go back over that quick since it's been brought up again. We did get some information. This specifically was posted in the Witch's Kitchen Discord server, so there's like some stuff there. And Magmax Mantle Vader is currently here listed as a level up reward. So apparently in the code, it's listed as that, but I don't know. I don't even know how to break this down. But then we did get some official translations for names. That's not super important. The cards are coming. There's no structure deck coming. Then we get there's literally no shop items in the data mine. It's just the Maddox box and 2 bundles. They come at the same time as the box 2, so it has to be trader. I mean, it doesn't have to be trader, but what we know is that they're in the data mine, so in the code, it does not look like currently there are any other shop items, which means however we get these cards, it should not be via the shop, right? It should not be via the shop. That is the only thing we know. Now, could that information still be wrong? Yeah, nothing's, like, we're not infallible. People make mistakes. Maybe Konami got really good at hiding it, etc., etc. But based on the information we have, it looks like it's not going to be from the shop. Breaks even, but it's free tribute plus, and it plus kinda. Yeah, it's like filtering. It's filtering plus a free, like, big guy, which is really good. Monster Calling, I think, is genuinely a really good card. There's only going to be a handful of decks that can make really good use of it, but it's still pretty cool, right? Why is Poly on UR? I mean, it's a legend. Legends are any legends not UR? I don't know. I think all the legends are UR so far. Cooling is kind of the main reason I do multiple runs of the box. Yes, I mean, if you want this card, if you're going to be playing the Gaia deck, I do think Monster Calling is really, really good for that. Especially because this will get you to Cursed Dragon, just onto the field for free, which then is your tribute to summon out Veteran Gaia, and then Veteran Gaia is a one-card Battle Ruler or the Piercing one. So, basically, you play this card, you -0, then you just immediately summon Veteran from your hand, so you've now, you know, you've got still -0, you still have 4 cards or 5 cards to play with, and you've got your Veteran on the field. And then your Veteran turns into a fusion monster, so we still have 5 cards to work with. Card economy-wise, that is so good. That's actually just so good. Wait a minute, it's in the deck. Yeah, it's most likely Trader, unless it's a level up reward, which would make 0 sense. I just realized this is the first event deck that hasn't said what we're getting as a level up reward since Lulu and Rin. Yes. It can summon Dark Magician. It can summon Dark Magician. We did mention that earlier. It's not bad because we have the Magician Shuffle skill, right? Because we can just dump Dark Magician into the graveyard. Having more ways to get back Dark Magician is actually not awful. The only thing is we don't have a lot to do with Dark Magician, right? Like, we can get Dark Magician out, but Dark Magician doesn't beat set 3 pass. Dark Magician doesn't really win the game. Like, we only have 1 copy of Thousand Knives, so the only real reason to spam out Dark Magician other than just attacking is Dark Magic attack. It's a bit awkward right now. You can get Gaia with Monster Calling plus Cursed Dragon with Starry Start, which is a pretty funny spell. Only to card only to summon 2. Yes, I think that is going to be a cool way to go about it, but I do think you would almost always rather use Veteran if you can. Or I suppose it's got a different name. It's like Battle Hardened or whatever it's called. Battle Proven. Is that Barry's in the chat? You can activate without a target in the graveyard. Yeah, because it's a then you can. So it's just send a monster from your hand to the graveyard, draw a card. That's all you need to be able to do is draw a card to activate this effect and have a monster in your hand to send to the graveyard. I'll be right back, gotta fix something. Glad Monster Calling wasn't put as limited 3, so you can use it with Secret Order. Both Gaia and DM are level 7 normal monsters. Yes, it does kind of feel like this is very much like Nostalgia Bait Box. Because it's like, oh, we got Hero, we got Cyber Dragons, we got Gaia the Fierce Knight. That also kind of works with Dark Magician. Neat. And I'm like, that's cool. Where are the good Sea Serpents? Where are the good Pyros? Where are the good Galaxy cards, right? I'm like, where's the cool shit for them? Like, we got some okay stuff, but all the really good shit looks like it's not for the right decks. Now, there is obviously going to still be the elephant in the room of, even with all the Gaia stuff that we're getting, I'm still not convinced it's going to outperform Dragons and Psychics. Dragons and Psychics are just so good. They're so good. And a lot of that is just because of what the skills do for them. So, it's not going to be an easy one. Why they put the NSFW card at 3? Which one? You're going to have to be more specific. Is the Xiphos the NSF one? Is it because it looks a bit like a butt plug? Is that what it is, Quantum? Or is it because Sea Dragon Graganus is a sea serpent and that means he's like a penis? You're going to have to be more specific, Quantum. It could be anything. I don't know how your mind works. Gaia Trap sucks. I mean, the Gaia Traps that we don't have, both of them are pretty good. They're both pretty good. We just don't have either of them. Battle-tested Gaia the Fierce Knight. Battle-tested. Yeah, I don't see this box overpowering the meta. Exactly. Did Gaia get a skill or something? Yes, it did. I mean, we'll take a look at it now, since we're talking about Gaia anyway. So this is, I mean, we'll look at the name quick. Chivalrous Celerity. So this is requirement. Can be activated if all of the monsters with 1600 or more attack in your constructed deck are monsters with 2300 attack, 200 defense, and or level 5 or lower dragon type normal monsters. This means you have to be playing Gaia cards. This could be Gaia the Fierce Knight, Battle Hardened Gaia the Fierce Knight, Battle Tested, whatever it's called. I'm just going to keep calling it Veteran because it's easier. Veteran Gaia the Fierce Knight or Swift Gaia the Fierce Knight. Probably not going to play Swift because it's limit 3, and that'd just be kind of annoying. And level 5 dragon normals, we know what that is, Cursed Dragon. But what this does mean is we can't use Veteran Cursed Dragon, and it doesn't know what we're getting anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Send 1 normal monster from your deck to your graveyard and make 1 face-up level 5 or higher monster on your field, gain 600 attack until the end of the turn. Then you can add a normal monster and or poly from your deck and or graveyard to your hand once per duel. Now, notably, this lets you add any normal monster. So you could just grab like a 1500 vanilla if you want. Are you going to want to do that? Probably not, but it'd be nice to have the option. Maybe you also like put in a small fusion package with like Hero of the Yeast, and you could do something with that, right? But fundamentally, this is once per duel, you get a +2, including poly, and every turn you get to boost by 600. It also sets up your graveyard for your other cards, right? This sets up your graveyard for Secret Order, sets up your graveyard for Starry Start. We got there in the end. But again, those are conflicting because you don't want to play, or you can't play 3 copies of Secret Order and 3 copies of Starry Start, so pick your poison. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. Yes, it does. It did. It's just not Gaia named its poly skill. I can't even write the name of the card because of Twitch World Filter. What word is filtered? Look Discord to DM to see what you can play with Gaia skill. Let's have a look. Let's have a look. That is very funny. That is very funny. I'm gonna let you keep that like in your back pocket. You can choose to reveal that. I don't want to be the one that like drops that, but that is very amusing. Look at the 4 letters of the Limit 3 Sea Serpent. Oh, anus. Is that really? That's so funny. You could also just write Grang. Like, you don't have to write the full name out. Search as poly? Yes, search as poly. It's Gaia skill. You can use it with poly. Is there a card that recycles poly? Well, we don't have one. I don't actually... There is a few cards that mention poly. I'm sure there is. But I could not tell you what they were. Well, not that one. We don't have this one yet. And then Star of the Beginning does as well. But we're not getting that for a while. So realistically, no, not for a while. Honestly, there's not many good reasons to... Or also in an ad break, great. Not many reasons to play Swift Gaia due to the deck size / the skill benefits OG Gaia and Veteran. Basically, yeah. That's what I'm saying. Look at the first few letters. Swift Gaia is also limit 3. It's bad, sadly. Oh, I know what it probably is. Rutro. Ranganus. I can say it fine. Perfect. There you go. Easy. Yeah, that too. I don't think it's there. Granganus. Why would you call it that when you can just call it if you name your deck in Duel Links, they censor the name of your deck then. Yeah, I mean, they censor the word speed for, like, the most stupid reason imaginable. It's very strange. But, you know, it is what it is. A bit unrelated, but I saw Dark Paladin was announced. But how do you summon it since both DM and Buster Blader are legend monsters? You have to use cards that change their name. In the same way that we are able to summon Black Skull Dragon, despite the fact Black Skull Dragon needs a Red Eyes and a Summon Skull. Also, I don't know if Xyz was hit by the ads there or not, but I'll just repeat that. Cards that change name. We already have cards that need 2 legends to be made, like Black Skull Dragon. That needs a Summon Skull and a Red Eyes Black Dragon. So you just have cards that change their name to be one or t'other. Probably a new support card for them. P, or because it's a drug name. Now it's P. It just censors P. You'll be S***** D. Is what happens. That's why my speed account is called Fast Tomato. Because I can't be Speed Tomato. Because it's censored. Because apparently P is a bad word. Of all the different slurs to censor, I didn't think P was going to be the one, but there it is. There it is. Same as Blue Eyes, cards that are Tresters as DM. Reminds me of the Galaxy SD. Speed is a drug name. Heroes, bros, we are so back. Hello, Serena. Welcome, welcome. No, that's so funny. No, that's the scary P. So I guess we'll go on to the next card. Galacterial Ore. Nice stats. 1300 defense is always quite nice. If you have 3 or more Galaxy-type monsters in your graveyard during the main phase, this card was normal or special summoned. Add a Xiphos from your graveyard to your hand. So the skill can dump your Xiphos. And then we can use this to get it back. That's obviously one little thing we can do. It's a nice plus, but it's not a great plus, right? Realistically, just getting Xiphos. Xiphos is very... It's very restrictive in how you can really use it. It's a little bit awkward. You only really want to have this on Galactica Oblivion if you can help it. It's not amazing, but a free plus is a free plus. This is kind of how you want equip spells to be. You don't want them to be like a whole card in your hand that you have to use up. You want it to be a free card. And effectively, between the skill and this card, it becomes a free card, which is like, okay, right? That's so funny. Yeah, it's so weird, bro. It's so weird. Speaking of the new support, I wasn't expecting CYDRA Nashta to be brought to Rush. Yes, it's very, very interesting. That is in the OCG. I don't think it's gonna like break the game or anything. I think it's redundant, right? We already have so many stuff that does what it does. So I don't think it's going to be super duper good, but it's just fine. You'll add like a little bit of extra consistency. So then we get to Ember, the Hyper Assistant. Now this card is pretty cool. We will try and change this so we can actually see it on screen. But if your opponent has a monster on their field, send this face up from your field to the graveyard. Especially summon a level 7 or higher Pyro monster from your hand face up to your field. Now, it's a little bit sad this is 7 or higher, because like there could be some like weird shit you could do with this, with like Flame Cerberus or something. But then if you have Super Assistant Achi, which is going to be Super Assistant Ember, because, you know, the just name hasn't been changed yet, in your graveyard, the monster special summoned by this effect gains 800 attack. So this is cool. But, in a way, this is kind of the Flame Ruler. It's not much different. It basically just gets your guy out quick, like easier, which is like fine. But then it gains 800 attack, which again is fine, but it's not doing anything like crazy. We still can't beat set 3 pass. We're realistically not going to be doing enough damage with this to like kill our opponent outright. This isn't going to let us survive a dragon onslaught attacking us in the face. So like this card is like fine. It's almost good. But realistically, what are we doing with it? I don't see this suddenly letting us like beat over like big stuff. There is one thing to say. It does have 1500 defense. And the card it mentions, Ember the Super Assistant, there's also a 1500 defense. So you can start playing like a very defensive Pyro build with this. Noodle support. I mean, again, you can play this in Noodles. It might even be better in Noodles than in like the chemicalized deck, to be honest. Achi is no more, yeah. Very sad, very sad. Pyros still don't have piercing. Yeah, you don't need piercing, right? You just need a way to get damage through. So the way that Noodles used to do that was just burn, right? You could get a couple of hits in every now and then the way you keep applying pressures through set 3 is you just burn them every turn. The problem is that doesn't work these days, because your opponents have ways to play around that. If we leave a extra spice on the field, they'll just use their Dragia Star effect. They will summon out their big dragons and they'll kill us. If you're against like Light Galaxy, they'll use Meteor Charge to change our 0 defense monster to defense mode and pierce over it for like 3,200 damage. If you're against Dark Galaxy, they will just walk over you. There's just not enough ways to apply enough pressure with 1,000 burn damage a turn. It's just not feasible anymore. Like, this deck would have to do a lot more burn than it currently has to be on the level of what other decks have. Or, like we say, it needs piercing, or it needs multi-attack, or it needs to be able to destroy face-down cards, or it needs to change monsters that are in defense position to attack position so we can attack over them and get in for some big damage, right? Without something like that, it's in a bit of a sticky spot. Is it the first 1500 defender with attack? You can play it in stall decks. Yeah, I mean, you definitely can. I don't know what stall deck you'd play this in. But, like, potentially. What is our Tomato Overlord cooking today? We're just literally going over all of the reveals and leaks acceleration gate. But welcome on in, my friend. So, Joint Tech Raptor. This is a card we knew we were getting because it was leaked from a skill. During the turn, you normal summon this card. So, not flip, not special, only normal summon. Because there isn't... Flip summons aren't a summon. They're just flipping. Just changing a game state. Because Rush is weird. But obviously flipping isn't normal summoning either way. Send the top 2 cards of each player's deck to the graveyard. So, Santa Mill players rejoice. We have another way to mill our opponent. Inflict damage to your opponent equal to the number of monsters sent to the graveyard times 100. So, tiny burn. Then, if you have a face-up equipped spell card on your field and you inflicted damage to your opponent by this card effect, you can change one attack position monster on your opponent's field to face-up defense position. So, the way this is intended to be used is we use it with Rush Horn. Which is like, okay, right? We can get a plus 300 change strength to defense. If it has a low defense value, we attack over it, we get him some okay piercing damage. This card did actually see some play just for being a miller, right? Just back when this card came out, just sending the top 2 cards of your deck to the graveyard was generally just a good enough effect that you would play this. So, like, we can do more with this in Duel Links. I still don't think this is going to be particularly good, even with the skill that he's got. Can't Floodgate, can't multi-attack through set 3. Yeah, it's so awkward. That's a plus point from Pyro. Mill your opponent's NA and Pog. I mean, potentially. If we go and take a look at the skill that it got as well, Join Tech Press Rush. So, can be activated from turn 2 onwards during a turn that you normal summoned a level 7 monster or a Join Tech Raptor. Whoa, Join Tech Raptor mentioned. If all of the monsters in your constructed deck are machine-type monsters and all of the level 5 or higher monsters in your deck are Earth attribute monsters with 2,500 attack or 2,300 defense. This is so hyper-specific to be like, please don't play this deck with anything but Join Tech. Just nothing but Join Tech, please. Not even other Earth monsters that aren't Join Tech. Please just play Join Tech. It's so weird. Because basically this locks us out of using Cerberus, which is like the 2,400 one that came in the like structure deck for the Cyber Dragon deck. Which is just ass. So I don't know why you'd want to, but like, it's like, please don't do that. Then you can add Join Tech Rush Horn from your deck or graveyard to your hand. Okay, infinite access to a limit 1. Okay, that's fine. Then you can make one face-up Join Tech Raptor on your field, gain 500 attack until the end of your opponent's turn. Wow. So we get a whopping 500 extra attack on our 800 attack monster. So it's now 1,300. Whoa, that's insane. What would we do without 500 bonus attack on our garbage weenie monster? It's so weird. It's so weird. I know what to do with him. Well, I'm interested. Please don't play Innovator. I mean, you do that just with the word Earth, right? Earth attribute has immediately locked us out of using Innovator. They've literally said, like, what else is this stopping us from using, right? Let's look this up, right? So Earth, that's the wrong button. We were so close to greatness, but we missed. Right, Earth, Machine. So it's gonna be level 7 plus. So we'll do 7 and we'll do 8. All right, let's take a gander. Right, so we can't use Steel Steed Martin Vinery, right? We're not allowed to use this. We can't use Ancient Golem. We can use Shield Boar and Kong, ladies and gentlemen. We are allowed. We can use Tinosaurus. We're not allowed to use Grand Cerberus. We can use Printing Presser. Whoa, crazy. We can't use Toceratops. That's kind of sad, because this would be a, 34? That you could give the extra 337 with piercing? That could actually be kind of good. And we can't have that. So basically, it stops us from using Toceratops, Cerb, Vinery, and Ancient Golem. So it's like the bad card no one's going to use anyway, the coin tossing cards, which are kind of just funny, and the best card in the game. We can't use those. It's so strange. It's so strange. Tinosaurus finally gets support. I mean, is it good support though? That's the question. What's even worse with Join Tech is since majority of their cards are SR or higher, it's an investment for so little. Yeah, I mean, Join Tech's always kind of been in that state. Join Tech has never really been a good deck in the OCG. It's had its, like, moments that it shined. Oh, this deck topped a tournament. This deck did okay. This one did a little bit better. But we're missing that, like, that real oomph moment. Even when they got their, like, fusions. The fusions, like, was okay, but didn't do anything, like, crazy. What's even worse is, with Join Tech, is since the majority... we've already read that. Ceratops is literally a Join Tech monster. Shake my head, Konami. Exactly, it's so weird. It's so weird. Searchable piercing for Tino isn't too bad. You're not wrong. But Tino in itself is a little bit awkward because we have to discard a card to use it. So it's a 2300. We can give it a 300 boost, it becomes 26, but it's still going to get attacked over reasonably easily. 26 isn't a huge number. We can then chain tank to defense, lower its defense. Let's say we get it down to 0 defense. We get like a 2600 piercing damage in. That's not bad. But now your opponent activates their dragon fusion skill. They search their fusion. They summon out their dragon fusion monster. They kill you. It's just like, it's so awkward how... It feels like if the current best decks in the game didn't exist, this would be a bunch of good decks. But none of them, in my opinion, will still do particularly well into the best decks of the format right now. Like, it's so weird. I don't know, I think the skill is fine since it can add Horn from deck or graveyard and isn't once per duel. Yeah, I mean, if it didn't do that, this would be garbage. Almost to the point where I'm like with this skill, with the Sea Serpent one. I want you to be able to get Umi every turn. Because if Umi gets popped, now it's like, oh, I don't really want to play more copies of Umi, really? Like, you want one copy, because then you don't have to, like, fill your deck with crap, right? You can do something with Press, which is something Lamau. Again, it's not like... I don't think this, like, is inherently, like, completely garbage. I do think this is going to be rogue at best. I don't see this as being, like, a tiered deck. I would love to be wrong. I would love to be wrong. I would love to be wrong. But this doesn't scream tiered deck to me. Are the fusions of Join Tech at least contact fusions? No, don't be silly. Of course they're not. The Join Tech fusions are very... I mean, we'll get them up quick, right? Are they both called Join Tech or is one of them just Hero? No, they are all Join Tech. All right. So this is a fusion of Bluetooth, so we won't count them. They're going to go in their own little section. So the actual Join Tech fusions are Killer Stinger. I guess we'll get them all up with like big text. We can actually see what they look like. So Killer Stinger, this one's actually pretty good, but it's made using 2 level 7s, so it's quite difficult to get out. Send the top card of your deck to the graveyard. All face-up monsters in your opponent's field lose attack equal to the number of monsters on your opponent's field times 700. So if your opponent has a full board, we minus the whole board by 21. Okay, that's okay. Then you gain life points equal to the number of monsters on your opponent's field. So we'd also then gain 2,100 life points. Not bad. It's a bit too hard to summon, and there are ways in Archetype to get those guys out a bit easier. So, like, it's not as bad as you have to, like, hard tribute them out, but sometimes that'll be your only option, right? The next one is Tridynabase, which is a bit weird. It's made using Nest Tridar tank and 2 non-machine monsters. Continuous effect. If this card attacks a defense position monster, it inflicts piercing damage. Okay, 3k Piercer. Actually kind of good. Does require 3 monsters to make, but 3k Piercer is a 3k Piercer. This card can make a second attack and a third attack during the turn it was fusion summoned by sending monsters whose original names were Void Velger Requiem and Abyss Slayer Leviathanite to the graveyard as material. So this is where this one gets weird. Because you have to use other bosses from other decks to make this work. This was a very, like, anime card. It's kind of weird. But, you know, non-specific name fusion materials? Yes. I mean, that is something we're going to get a lot more as we go forward as well. Especially when we get to the Light Galaxy stuff. And then the last one is Joystick Fighter. I really like this card. It's made using 2 1500 vanillas. And we could take a level 7 Earth Attribute monster from our graveyard, either add it to our hand or special summon it. Very important distinction. So we either get it for free, or we can put it into our hand if it hasn't entered the battlefield effect, or a, you know, on summon effect. Then, if it was a Joystick Hero, we can add a Joystick Ace from your graveyard to your hand, which is, again, really good, because we make this, then we special summon Joystick Hero, or we add it to our hand, whatever we want, and we get the free plus off of Ace. Then if we get out Hero, we can use its effect to get us back another Ace. It's so good. It's like such a nice resource loop. But we won't get this yet, right? But this is actually kind of a good one. I really like the Joystick Fighter and the Joystick Hero. I think Hero would have been an absolute slam dunk to release here, but they decided not to, which is a little bit sad, but it is what it is. Anyway, next card, Galactica Zyphos. This card is okay. It's not great, but it's fine. If your opponent has a face-up level 7 or 8 monster on their field, equip this to 1 face-up Galaxy-type monster on your field first. Only equipped to Galaxy. Okay, whatever. Your opponent has to have a 7 or 8. That's already annoying. What if your opponent summons out 9s? What if your opponent summons out a maximum monster, which is a level 10? Guess what? This doesn't work. That kinda sucks. The equipped monster gains attack equal to the number of face-up normal monsters on your field times 300. Okay, so this caps out at 900. 900 attack for a whole card out of your hand? Which is why, again, 900 attack for free, because we've just plussed off of Galactica Ore. Okay. Giving up a whole card from your hand to get 900 attack? If the equipped monster is Galactica Oblivion, it gains 1,000 more attack. Okay, now we're kind of getting somewhere. Now we can go up to a 1,900 bonus on our Galactica Oblivion, which will bump it up to 4,400, which is kind of a big, scary number, which can be kind of good. But, again, all these hoops we have to jump through. We can't even put this on... If your opponent's got set 3, right? Which would be, like, a good time to use this, I guess. It's very awkward. I'm not the biggest fan of Zyphos, to be perfectly honest. I don't see there being many situations where this is going to be, like, super crazy good. I don't think this is bad, right? I don't think it's, like, flat out bad. But I think this is going to be a high roll card, where when it actually becomes really useful and really good, is going to just be entirely up to dumb luck. So, like, it's also always going to have the issue that you have with equipped spells in general, which is, like, you invest a lot of cards into a single body, and if that body gets outed, you lose all of those cards. Why is this limit 3? Because they don't want you playing 3 copies of this, I guess, with 3 Secret Order. It's so weird. It's so weird. It's so weird. Joined Tech a few days ago. It's possible they'll print those. I doubt it, but there's always a chance, right? Nico Tamabot, best Joined Tech Fusion. True. Why is it limited 3? No one will ever know, because Secret Order. Does the skill for the equip at least change the level of the opponent's monsters? That'd be silly. Of course it doesn't. So it's right here, right? So it's like... All it does is give your 1,500 defense monsters piercing, and let you get or Zyphos or a normal monster to your hand if you summon out one of those. It's not great. It's not great. People not playing 3. I mean, basically, right? It's a weird one. It's a very weird one. I don't really like this equip spell. You can do stuff with it. I think it's very high roll. Then we have Tapantula. So you normal summon this card this turn, and your opponent has 2 or more spell traps on their field. Add a level 4 machine type normal monster from your graveyard to your hand. Okay, this is like an okay effect with a really annoying requirement. Because there'll be some situations where you really want to get back a level 4 normal machine monster from the grave. And you can't because your opponent hasn't got 2 or more spell traps. And that kinda sucks. That does really kinda suck. So the equip will be a dead card most of the time. Yes, exactly. And that is why I'm not a big fan of it. They may unlimit it if it underperforms. I mean, potentially. I don't even know if that's going to matter too much. But the Tapantula it's very awkward. Has to be exactly level 4. Your opponent has to have 2 more spell traps. If you could guarantee this was live a lot, not bad. Not bad. But I think there'll be too many situations will crop up where you won't have this live and it will just be rotting in your hand. You'll be like, this kind of sucks. I would rather have anything else. What about the skill that sends random attribute monsters to the graveyard? The archive one. Is that any useful? So, alright, in a vacuum, those skills will turn specific cards on. Is that going to be relevant enough to build a whole deck around it? Realistically not. This is what's these ones, right? Send 2 random attribute normal monsters from your deck to the graveyard. So the main way I can see this being interesting is you could play this with... You make it so the only normal monsters in your deck are specifically like level 7 normals. And then you bring them back with like Secret Order, right? So like theoretically, if we didn't have the Chivalrous Celerity skill, you could send... Like, you can make it so the only Earth monsters in your deck are Gaia the Fierce Knight. Send 2 Gaia to the graveyard, and now you've turned on Secret Order and Monster Calling. But we don't need to do that, because this skill does that anyway. It just sends a normal monster from your deck to the graveyard, right? So it's like... If we didn't have this, this would be a lot better. But then it's like, okay, we could do it with, like, fire. We could send Chromatographicus to the graveyard, and that would turn on Secret Order. And it's like, yeah... But now you don't have any of the other Pyro skills, and your skill is now just turn Secret Order on. So, like, I don't know. It's weird. It's not great, in my opinion. I don't really see a good way to use this. But back to the cards. Siesta Hold's getting a reprint. Neat. And then we get to our first Sea Serpent boss. So this is Anus, the Sea Dragon King. So during the turn, you normal summon this card. Only normal summon. Inflict damage to your opponent equal to the number of spell/trap cards on your opponent's field times 300. So this is going to burn for 900 if your opponent's board is full. Now, the reason this is limit 3, the only reason I can think of that they would limit 3 this card is literally so you can't play it with Extra Spice, the Elite Noodle Ninja, and have like a really bad burn deck that could like burn for 900 with this and then like Extra Spice effect burn for another 1000, which would just be bad. But like I can't think of another reason why you'd limit 3 this card. You could use that skill in a very scuffed 7's road deck. A water monster that burns what? Yeah, it's very, very strange. It's very strange. It's 2500 attack. It's got 1800 defense. That's nice. It's level 8, which means it can't be reduced by Mirageus, which is also nice. What's the next fire monster that heals? I mean, potentially. We'll talk more about this as we get to its support, but like, already not the best card for Sea Serpents, but you know, it exists. Now, Jointech Rushhorn. We have already spoken about this card before, but the best place to probably use this is going to be Cyber Dragons. If we use this on a Cyber Twin, 20 or 3100 attack, double attack pierce, represents 6200 piercing damage. If your opponent has 2 like zeros for whatever reason, that's just game. It's really good. It's very, very high roll. You can also use this with the skill that's meant for it, but again, I don't see that as being particularly strong. Being limit 1 is also really awkward because that now means you can't play it with Rice Terror Secure, which Rice Terror, like some people will say it's barely used, but against some decks it's still really good. It's really good into Dark Galaxy. It's really good into Metarion. It's really good into Psychic. It's still a really good card. It's just bad into Dragons, right? Water can scold if it's boiling, so maybe that's why. True, but wouldn't be better if it was a fire aqua then, potentially. It's only once per duel, which really kills it. Using the Gaia skill to search all missing combo pieces to revive with Star Restart sounds more appealing to me. Yeah, but then at that point, you already have the Gaia skill that sends, so it's like, it's super awkward. It's just super awkward. But yeah, Rushhorn, again, I think this is going to be better in a deck that can make better use of it, and I think that's going to be a deck that either gets a giant guy or a deck that's multi-attack, and I think Cyber Dragon's going to be that deck. We've already talked a little bit about Ember, but another 1500 defender. This will also be fusion material going forward. This is what you fuse together with the Chemicalized Salamander, and you'll also fuse it with I believe you fuse this anyway with Chromatographicus, so it's going to be fusion material going forward. Wow, that card is going to do crazy in Cyber Dragons. I mean, potentially. Again, it's a limit 1. It's not searchable, so you have to draw it at the right time, but if you do, it can be really good. Then we have Germalu. 1500 Pyro, normal. This power creeps Byaru, but has lower defense, so that's neat. Stream of Elimination, just back row hate. It's very generic back row hate for Sea Serpent. Then we have Head Bad Cachalot. So this is a weird name. Head Bad Cachalot. This used to be called Headbutt Cachalot, but I think they censored this because Headbutt has the word butt in it. And butt is a funny bad word. So we're not allowed to say butt, even if it's part of the word headbutt. But send the top card of your deck to the graveyard. One face-up monster on your opponent's field, lose 500 attack. Okay, that's not bad. Then if you have Umi or Big Umi face up on your field, inflict 500 damage. Okay, 500 burn. It's whatever. But there is kind of this like mini burn theme going on, right? Both of our bosses burn our opponent, which is very interesting. Very interesting. I haven't played Machines in a while, but it could be good with Innovator. I don't remember if they run a limit 1. The issue with Innovator is Innovator already has piercing, so you'd use it basically just for Jointech Rex, which is like not bad, but is censored, but not Grag Anus. Okay, makes sense. Oh, imagine, right? You slam down on your board, you summon Sea Dragon King Anus, and then you summon the head butt Catchalot. It would just be the butt deck. It would be the butt of every joke, guys. We can't have 2 butt cards be both of the sea serpents, okay? We just can't have it. We cannot have it. My god, that can't be for real. It probably is. We can't have kids committing violence and saying naughty words like butt and pee. Ah! Konami must censor everything. That just feels like a petty censor. I mean, probably. It might have nothing to do with it. That's the narrative I'm pushing. And I will keep pushing it. To be fair, at least there's lightning in the artwork of the whale, so you can imagine it zaps you to burn you to death. Yeah. I mean, there's something. There's something. Looks cool. To be fair, at least... we've already read that one. We've already read that. No! To headbutts, exactly. But! No. No but. Don't make me time you out, Sakadetsu. I can't have you saying but in my chat. Konami will get angry with me. Alright, next up. CYDRA Kleindros. Okay, this guy is actually kind of cool. If your opponent has a monster on their field, place 1 Sea Dragon King Grag Anus. Or it's got an N in it. Grang Anus. It's such a weird name to say. Or 1 Grand Extreme from your graveyard to the bottom of your deck. So we're allowed to say bottom, by the way. I want to say this. We are still allowed to use the word bottom because it says bottom of the deck. So that's fine. We just have to know where we stand with Konami, right? But we can special summon a fish or sea serpent from your hand face up to your field. This turn you can only attack with water attribute monsters. Okay. This is okay, right? Because our opponent has to have a monster. That's a little bit annoying, but it's fine. We place a Granganus or a Grand Extreme from your graveyard to the bottom of the deck. So because Grand Extreme is limit 1, and because we only have 1 copy of it, that gives us 4 cards in the deck we can use this with. Then we get to special summon a fish or sea serpent from our hand. It has to be specifically our hand, but this is a good way to just get it out for free. We don't lose anything. This isn't like... If we use Grand Extreme, we are effectively like... We're turning Grand Extreme into the boss monster. So we're 1-for-1ing. If we use Kleindros, we're plussing, right? Well, we're not plussing, but we are... That's basically the same as Grand Extreme. Because Grand Extreme, we lose it. Yeah. Yeah. So when we use Grand Extreme, we're negging, right? We're -1ing because we lose the spell card. When we use Kleindros, we're not -1ing. So it is more efficient than Grand Extreme, which is quite nice. That's quite nice. And you could also summon out fish. I don't think we would summon out fish. Like, maybe we would use... Because I don't think we can even use the fish, right? If we go back to the skill, it locks us, right? Everything that isn't 2 to 4 has to be sea serpents. We can't even use the fish, which is a bit of a shame, but it is what it is. He said butt, not butt. I mean, one of the butts has 2 T's in it. I will say that. Let them in. I can take them on. What? So those are like bootleg CYDRA. I mean, kinda. I guess. But yeah, Kleindros is actually kind of good. The big issue that you've probably noticed here is we, again, lack a way for these sea serpents to deal with set 3 pass. Because we can burn, and we can burn, and we can get out our guys quite easy, and then we don't have any piercing, we don't have any multi-attack, we don't have any destroying face-down cards, we don't have any changing battle positions to be defense to attack. So, kind of a bit mid. The next new card, like Dolphin, actually kind of good. If we have Umi or Bigumi and a fish, sea serpent, thunder, or aqua normal monster, we just have the normal. That's kind of the bad part of this effect. But we get a free plus, just a free +1. Plus and good. So this deck is actually like quite efficient with the way it uses resources and the way it like builds resources. So like, that's something. It's awkward. It's awkward as all hell. But it works. So, And then the only other new card we got in the rare slot is An Magma Bear. So this is an Earth Pyro, so not a Fire Pyro. If you have no other monsters on your field, place a Pyro type monster, so it doesn't have to be a Fire or an Earth Pyro, it's just any Pyro, from your graveyard on the bottom of your deck. Add a Pyro type normal monster from your graveyard to your hand. So this is a free plus, which is quite nice. Again, this is going to be probably primarily like noodle support. The main card you're probably going to get back is going to be Ember. But, you know, you can get back anything. So, like, it's cool. The Dolphin winking at us. Yeah. just casually winking. Don't worry about it. Listen, right? If you feel like this dolphin is winking seductively at you, I will say I think that's more on you than the card. But I'm not willing to take this conversation any further. So, next up, we'll take a look at our other new cards. So first one is Flame Seeker. So 1400 attack, 400 defense. Okay, it's neat. This technically power creeps, I guess, Taste Inspector, which is quite nice. Why this tattoo reminds me of Hercules symbol. A dolphin could have something in its eye. Potentially. Hello, Lady Jasmine. Welcome on in. But Flame Seeker is neat. Team Firepower Max sub-leader. Recently, he's been using the ultra-high power burner that he bought using everything he owns. Not really much to say about it. It's neat. Then we get to an interesting card. So this is the Equipment of Ascension. Equip this card to one face-up monster on your field. Increase the level of the equipped monster by 2, and its attack and defense by 200. So, why is this interesting? Because this can be equipped to anything to increase its level. That's the interesting part about this card. Now, there's the obvious. If you equip it to your monster, you can get out of level range of stuff. There's a lot of cards that say, like, level 9 or lower, right? But you can use this on your opponent's cards, because it's just equipped to any face-up monster on... Well, this one now says your field. So, I'm wondering if this was a different translation, because I'm pretty sure before this didn't say your field, it said the field. Because I'm sure you used to be able to equip this to your opponent's stuff, but maybe it's been, like, translated differently. Don't this card help a lot with cards who need high level to tribute? Kind of. Oh, it's your field? Then it sucks. Yeah, this... I'm pretty sure this used to be the field. Maybe it was just mistranslated or something. I'm not really sure. But, like... I'm sure I read this the other day and it said about it. But it's what it is. It is what it is. Then we have Blast Examiner. A specialist in safety assurance. She tends to be overlooked due to her work habits, but she got a positive and gentle personality. Come on, guys. She has a positive and gentle personality. Come on. Come on, guys. But yeah, there's no redeeming quality about this card. It's level 5. Its stats is shit. It's bad. It's just bad. Then we have Dr. Redrobe, another 1500, which means we have Jarmalu and Dr. Redrobe. Again, just a normal monster. A leading light in the field of combustion research, fiercely proud of his gloves, which come in handy anytime something needs turning to ash. It's neat. Augments of Ascension was the old name, yeah. She have a stick. She does have a stick. It's like a... I don't even know what it's meant to be. And then we don't really have much more to talk about, right? We got Takriminos. This is just... By the way, this thing has Gazelle, King of Mythical Beast stats. So this is a really good 1500 vanilla because we can put it in defense mode and not get pierced over for 1,000,000. So this is like really good. Su Volcano is a 1400 defender. I mean, we have Ember, and we've also got another 1500 defender in Ember. So I don't know if we need a 1400, but we have it. Then we have Big Umi, which is activate only if you have 3 face-up water monsters, which is a little bit awkward. Sometimes that's going to be really difficult to get out. While this card is face-up in the field zone, face-up non-water monsters on the field lose 300 attack and defense. This is fine. It's not really worth playing, I don't think, just because the activation requirement is a bit annoying. Volcano thumbs up. That is actually the perfect combination of emotes right there. Now, if they had a level 4 monster, you equip it to the opponent's monster to enable the dragon skill, because now they'll be level 5 or higher. If you cannot equip to the opponent's monsters, it won't work, so it sucks. Yeah, that's kind of how I feel as well. Like, there is still, like, some stuff you could do with this. Like, you could play it with, like, Heliacal Riser if you wanted to. There's not really a reason to, but, like, you could. You could play it with, like, Raptor. You could use it to get your level above 8, which can be relevant in some decks, but I don't think you would use a whole card for that again. Equip spells again. We don't want to use a whole card in our hand to use it. We want it to be a free plus, and then it becomes useful. So then we have Arrow Magma Bear. Send up to 2 cards from your hand to the graveyard. That's really bad. Gain life points equal to the number of cards sent to the graveyard times 300. It's not even a good amount of life points. So we send up to 2 cards from our hand to the graveyard to gain 600 life points. Now, this can unbrick you, but if you're bricking, you're probably already screwed, and this isn't going to fix that. Like, it will make it so potentially you have a play next turn, but it's probably not going to actually save you. And then we have Mag Massage, another bit of a weird one. Level 7, only 2100 attack. Send up to 4 cards from your hand to the graveyard. Ooh, more cards from our hand to the graveyard, not great. 1 face-up level 4 or lower on either side of the field. Gains attack equal to the number of cards sent to the graveyard times 500. So, let's say we have a 1500 vanilla out. We ditch 4 cards from our hand, and then it gains 2000, goes up to 35. This card's just bad. This card's just bad. Can you equip multiple equips to 1 monster? Yes, you can. Or monsters can only have 1 equip anytime. Now, you can equip as many as you want. You can equip all 3 to 1 guy if you want. And then we have Umi. Umi's Umi. Everyone should know what Umi does. Oh, I see. Now I understand. Thanks for explain. Yeah. So, just going by this box, I think the best deck in here is probably just the box. Just the box. Heroes, Burst Wingman's really good. Then probably CYDRA. CYDRA was already a good deck, getting an extra tool in Rush and getting Rush Horn. Both, like, good cards, so, like, it's just going to make the deck a little bit better. Then Heliacal Riser, because this deck gets Piercing and actually kind of does stuff. Could do stuff. Then, I don't know, probably Pyro and then Sea Serpent. I think Sea Serpent without Daedalus is actually really bad. Again, it has some, like, good tools, like Klindros is good. Having the Grand Extreme is good. But the skill isn't good enough. The boss monsters aren't good enough. We still don't have a good way to beat set 3, which is another thing that it shares with the Pyro deck. I don't know. They just... Both Sea Serpents and Pyro just feel lacking. Like, just really lacking. Noodle Pyro incoming. I don't even think Noodle Pyro really solves the issue. Because again, we spoke about this earlier, but Noodles don't have a good way to pressure either. They just burn for 1,000 every turn. And 1,000 burn is not enough these days. Psychics will out-heal it, and Dragons will just kill you. So, like, we need Lavia for Umi skill. Yeah, well, if we had Daedalus, this would be a lot better, but again, it's a legend. It's a one-of. It's not searchable, so we still just have to get lucky and draw it in order for it to do anything. But, like, it's not like Daedalus coming out would immediately fix its problems, but it would alleviate them quite a lot. Yeah, I mean, that's my opinion, right? Heroes and CYDRA, then Riser, then Salamander. But out of all the... And then Sea Serpents, I guess. But then beyond that, Gaia actually seems like the real winner. But we haven't... Like, again, just going by the box, this is a single card for Gaia, right? So... Then... We'll go and take a look at the Chemistry of Combustion, Maddox Sogetsu of the Secrecy. By the way, the Secrecy is a really shit name for the MIK. I don't know why we changed it to the Secrecy, but it is what it is. We get Chromatographicus. Okay, neat. He's cool. He's level 7. He's a target for Secret Order. He will get many fusions in the future, so he will be relevant. You will want to get 3 of this card. He's fine. I don't think you'd probably play this in either version of this deck. I don't think it's worth it. Playing just this to basically turn on Secret Order also doesn't seem worth it. But he's fine. Chemicalizer Red. This is also kind of bad. Equip this to a face-up Pyrotech monster on your field. Equip monster against 300 attack. Can't be destroyed by traps. Well, we only have 1 trap that destroys. And it doesn't see much play, because people would rather play Negate Attack. So... Can't believe it took this long for Konami to release Umi. Maybe in 2 more years we'll get Sogen, Mountain, and Yami. I mean, we still haven't got Beastgear World. Where's Beastgear World? But yeah, Chemicalizer Red, kind of bad. Even if we use the skill with it. This one. Can be activated by sending 1 card from your field to the graveyard. If all the monsters in your construct deck fight actually Pyrotech monsters. Which, by the way... This locks you to Fire Pyro, which means if we're using this skill, we can't even use things like the and Magma Bear. We're not allowed. No fun allowed. Oh, didn't mean to cut that. Then there's Red Riser. Where is Red Riser, actually? Did we see Red Riser? Is Red Riser in the box? Is Red Riser a level up reward then? I have no idea what Red Riser is, but Red Riser somewhere. If you have a Red Riser or a level 7 effect monster with 1500 or more defense, add a Chemicalizer Red, Scale of Flame, or Fiery Blaze. Scale of Flame is a bit mid. It's basically like 1000 extra damage. Sometimes. Chemicalizer Red, obviously, kind of bad as well. But you want it because Red Riser gets it back, so that's going to be like your free plus. And then Fiery Blaze is only once per duel for Scales of Flame and Fiery Blaze. If we could get Scales of Flame every single turn, or Fiery Blaze every single turn, this would actually be kind of good. But we can't. So it's kind of bad. True, though, we need Beast Gear. Well, exactly. So yeah, Chemicalized Red kind of bad. There we have Nitro Hound. During the turn that we normal summon, once again, has to be the turn it's normal summoned. Inflict 400 damage to your opponent. We can only attack Pyro. So this is a nice little burn. In an ideal world, you'd summon, burn twice for 800, tribute it to get out the boss, do something else, right? There is also one other Pyro monster that we didn't get, that I was expecting to get, which has a similar effect. Let's see if we can find him quick. Cannot remember his name. This guy. Dynamo Might. This is a card I was expecting to get. Actually has quite a nice defense stat. During the turn you normal summon this card, burn for 300. So it's 100 less burn, but doesn't lock you into attacking with any Pyros. But surprised we didn't get that. And then the other rewards don't really matter. Then there's like farming decks, and then there's like the cards that he's got. I guess we'll throw a quick refresh on this, see if anything new added. Nothing like crazy in here. Heavenly Gift, I think a lot of NPCs have, so it's not anything too special. Methyl is in here, but no Ethel so far by the look at this. We have Alkyl, which I was expecting to get as a card. I was also expecting to get Methyl and Ethel, to be honest, but that's fine, whatever. Then there's Volcalized Zephyr and James, who neither of them seem to be playable, but it is what it is. Jokingly, Nitro Hound for game. I mean, you can do. Why does it seem like Konami doesn't know what they're doing with the skills for Rush? I think, in a way, it feels like they do know what they're doing. They just very specifically, like, we want you to buy this. We don't really care if you buy this sort of thing. We are also in adverts again. Oh, I need a coffee. I need a coffee real bad. We're going to have a drink of water instead. Ethel is in his gate deck, it just isn't shown on DLM. I see. Well, that's good to know. There isn't really much... this is the other interesting shit, right? So we'll hit a refresh on this, because there might just be something new, you never know. But yeah, big thanks to British Piper. British Piper, absolutely fantastic. Does the large majority of the, like, big data mining. And so, you know, always going to be a massive congrats, or a massive thank you to her. Or them. So then we have leaked cards. So we'll wait until the ads actually completely disappear before we go into these. But these are cards that we don't necessarily know where we're getting them from. And there is some really juicy stuff in here. Really juicy stuff. So just wait for the ads to trickle down. Another 10 seconds. And then we'll hop into yapping about cards. And this is going to be the cool shit. This is the Gaia stuff that we've been looking forward to. So, anyone that was hit by the ads, welcome back. So these are the other cards that we have had leaked. First up, Magmax Mantle Vader. 2400 attack is okay, but as we probably realised by now, if you have less than 2500 attack, you're generally kind of bad. We can send a Pyro type monster from our hand to the graveyard, destroy all face-up, defense position monsters on the field with the same level as the monster sent to the graveyard to meet the requirement. So, how often are we going to be able to have our opponent having face-up defense position monsters? Now, in an ideal world, we'd be able to change them to defense ourselves. Realistically, that's probably not going to happen, right? So, this card is just so hyper-specific that its effect is basically barely going to do anything. So, kind of bad. And so far, it's looking like this is going to be a Maddox level-up reward, which is really weird. I don't know if this will actually be, but again, the information we have is saying it's going to be a level up reward for Maddox, which again, really weird. That's hyper-specific. Actually, now that I think of it, it's not that crazy that they give us the Gaia cards for free. They did the same with Harpies. Yeah, I mean, basically, right? Let me discard my level 9... Oh, wait. Exactly, Sakadetsu, exactly. So yeah, Magmax Mantle Vader, kind of bad. Then we get to Analyze Phlogiston. And if we thought this card was specific, get ready for how specific this card is. Send a spell trap from your hand to the graveyard. Okay, so we can't discard monsters. Guess what? Most of your deck is monsters. So it would be better to be able to discard a monster. Shuffle 3 Pyro-type monsters from the graveyards, they have to be Pyro, into the deck, whose levels equal the total levels of the attack position level 8 or lower monsters on your opponent's field. So once again, our graveyard has to be set up in such a way that we have the exact levels in our graveyard to match our opponent's attack position level 8 or lower monsters. What that does also mean is, if your opponent gets out 3 level 8s somehow, we just can't really use this. We have to have 3 level 8s in our graveyard to match it. It's so ridiculously specific. And again, this is the sort of card that you can fix with a skill. You could just fix this with a skill. You could have a skill that changes your opponent's level. You could have a skill that throws a load of crap into your graveyard to be used with this. But we got nothing. So it's just bad. It's just bad. It's just bad. Straight up. Hello, Cyclone Valley. Welcome, welcome. I'm not high IQ enough for this. Neither am I, Kisara. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know who's going to play. Like, right. When its effect works, destroy all attack position monsters or level 8 or lower. So again, won't work on maxes, won't work on fusions, or most fusions, on your opponent's field. That's not bad. But then also, you can only attack with 1 monster. So you can only actually get in for like 23. So like both of these, like, effectively can wipe the field like 0.1% of the time. And because of that, they're both just kind of mid. They're both just kind of mid. No, but you will get a skill that sends 2 random monsters to the grave. Exactly, Mono. Exactly. It's so strange. Let me get Polly. Polly's good. We did say this at the start of the stream, but Polly gains value by using 2 cards in hand. And the way you get real value is by using 2 cards that you can't just normal summon. If you have 2, like, Avion Burstinatrix, what's the point in having Polymerization? You could just normal summon both. At that point, the point of Poly just becomes, if we don't have enough room to summon out both of them, we can just fuse, like, the fusion out from our hand, which is, like, it's niche, but it can come up. So, in my opinion, Poly gains the most value when you're using 2 high-level monsters to make it. That is when it gains the absolute most value. But you can get some value just by using tribute monsters, because basically you just don't have to tribute out the guys, right? The question you always have to ask yourselves, is that worth not having Pot of Greed? Because a free +1 is really good. And it's, you know, 2 different cards, because you lose the Pot of Greed, you gain 2 cards, so you've +1'd, effectively, but they're now 2 not Pot of Greed cards, so they have a lot more use. That's an equation cannon, levels of convoluted, exactly. It'll be good for Dragius, potentially. Pot of Greed's better than Poly. That's kind of how I feel as well. Like, if you had the choice to run Poly or Pot of Greed, you're probably running Pot of Greed. Oh, it's a legend card I didn't realise. Yes, that's where it gets a bit funky. But you will use this with the Gaia skill, because you'll get it for free, which is quite nice. And you probably, we don't know for sure yet, but you probably won't play Fusion in the Gaia deck, because we're getting the Veteran Gaia, who is the next card we're going to talk about. Or as he's now called, Battle Tested. Personally, I prefer Veteran. I guess they took the word Veteran out because, like, I guess people can see the word Veteran and think it means, like, a war vet. Which is a little bit confusing / might be insensitive in some way. I don't know. But Veteran just, like, is easier to say than Battle Tested. Battle Tested is, like, it's so many syllables. So it's like, Battle Tested, Gaia the Fierce Knight. That's now, like, such a mouthful. But this card's really good. This card is actually really good. You can tribute summon this card in attack position by tributing 1 face-up level 5 or higher monster, so Cursed Dragon. Okay, so we normal summon a monster, tribute that to get that Cursed Dragon, tribute Cursed Dragon to get this out, 3 card investment, and then you get a fusion, which is really good, especially since that fusion would normally be normal summon, tribute for Cursed Dragon, normal summon, tribute for Gaia the Fierce Knight, activate fusion. So that's usually a 6 card investment to get to that. You're getting this for only 3. So depending on how you look at it, it can be quite good, especially if we can use this with our new spell card, that being the Monster Calling. Because Monster Calling effectively will get us a free Cursed Dragon on the field. Like, We will technically lose a card to get that card out, but it's like we'll normal summon the Cursed Dragon. Then we can tribute that Cursed Dragon, and then immediately get out a boss monster. So, really good. Now, there is a better version of this, which will be Battle-Tested Cursed Dragon. We're not getting that card, and that wouldn't work with the skill anyway. But, it's still really good. Now, the reason this is really good, though, is because of the cards we can summon off of it. So, I guess we'll read the rest of the card first. Send the top card of your deck to the graveyard, so milling is generally quite good. This card's name becomes Gaia until the end of the turn. That can be relevant. But then you can fusion summon by shuffling this card from your field and one monster from your field or graveyard into the owner's deck. So again, the idea is we tribute over a Cursed Dragon, summon this, mill a card, put this card back into our deck, and Cursed Dragon from our graveyard back into our deck, summon out a fusion. Bam. Don't even need fusion, don't need polymerization, we just get it out. Veteran sounds cooler, IMO, that's how I think as well. Battle Tested sounds weird. Hopefully, with Veteran coming, that means we can get Magnet Warriors. I think you are huffing a lot of copium there, Sans. I think it was still a ways away from getting magnets. I think the big thing that's going to keep them off of magnets is they don't want to break the 1600 attack limit yet. But potentially. So before we talk about Battle Ruler, we'll go and check out this one. So this is Swift Gaia the Dragon Champion. So this is made using any warrior with 2100 defense. So we don't actually have to use the Battle Ruler's or Battle Tested's effect to get this out, because it's just any warrior 2100 defense. What that means is you can use Swift Gaia to make this. Now we're not going to use Swift Gaia because it's limit 3 and it's also kind of bad, but it's potential, right? And then it has to be a Cursed Dragon. Send the top card of your deck to the graveyard. If this card attacks a defense position monster, inflict piercing damage. So already piercing, good. We spoke about today how much we wish some of these other decks had piercing. This deck has piercing. Then if you have no cards in your hand, draw a card. That's so good. We just get to cheat this out, empty our hand, ideally if we can, and then we get the plus. We just get a free +1. That's so good. That's so good. Oh, I am very much huffing a lot of copium with that one low. Yeah, I mean, yeah. This card's really good. And then we get the even better Gaia, Conqueror of Champions. Made using Gaia the Fierce Knight and Cursed Dragon. So again, we can just summon it using Battle Tested's effect. During the main phase, this card was special summon. So now this is the big negative of this card, right? We can shuffle a non-magical knight type monster from your graveyard into the deck. Now, this is a magical knight, which is weird because there's no spellcaster involved here. This is just Gaia the Fierce Knight and a dragon. But it is a magical knight. What that does mean is when we get eventually some more magical knight support in the future, that will work with this card. But multi-choice effect, this turn, this card can attack directly or destroy a spell trap. Now, we've already spoken about the new hero card that can destroy spell traps, and that's already pretty good. Getting a free back row pop is really, really strong. But also it can attack directly, which means this could just be a game ender if we're able to summon this out. Now, there isn't really a big negative here, but like 26 is not a big attack value. What we can do is use our skill. Which is down here, and we can increase this attack by 600. What that means is we can actually get this thing, because this is any high level, right? Face at level 5 or higher monster on your field, yeah. So we can make this a 3200 attack monster that can attack directly, and suddenly we have a effectively Mirror Gear Star, which is pretty good. It's pretty good. It's not insane. It's not like it's not better than Mirror Gear Star realistically, but it is really good. That other Gaia fusion that seems to be the counterpart of Sky Galloping Gaia would be insane if it also changed the battle position of a monster in addition to piercing damage. I mean, that would be absolutely insane. But the thing is, we can still just play like Siesta Terrero if we want, right? And that will kind of work quite nicely in this deck anyway. So like, there is still some stuff you can do. But yeah, I think these 3 cards, combined with the spell card we're getting, makes Gaia look really tasty. And don't forget, these are warriors. These are just warriors. Or at least the Gaias are warriors. Which means we can Piercing Samurai them. On top of the fact, regular Gaia is a normal monster that's level 6. Or level 7 even. Which means we can summon it with Secret Order if we want. Now, the issue then becomes, what ratios do you play? Because you're going to want at least a Cursed Dragon. You could maybe get away with like a single Cursed Dragon. I don't actually think you probably play the regular Gaia, just because if we've got 3 battle tested, we're going to want some number of Curse of Dragon. And then it's like, are you going to be playing like 8, 9, like high level monsters? Probably not, realistically. Like, I don't really see that happening. But like, there's still potential. I think this is going to be the deck, I think, where cooking with it is going to be the most exciting. It's going to be the most interesting. Where the cat? What are you talking about, Valley? You talking about the cat duelist? Is that what you're wanting to see? Hello, Hunter. Welcome, welcome. Brad posted new stuff on RDL General. Ooh. Color me intrigued. Let's take a look. RDL General. Looking for Sir Braddington. Challenge deck, Gaia the Fierce Knight. Thanks to Brad for an idea of where to look for this. Okay, so there's going to be a challenge deck for Gaia the Fierce Knight. And Brad has just said, I think you should be looking at it like the free Blue Eyes White Dragon structure deck for the speed campaign. So we don't know. The only thing I'm a little bit worried about that is, are we going to get playsets of everything in it? Because now, by the sounds of it, we might just say like a single copy of Battle Tested, and it just won't be limit 1, but we'll only have 1 copy. Since the cards are in the obtainable database and not just the NPC stuff. Ooh, guys, we're getting news straight from the source right now. Accept lightly without friend code invites. There's potential there. Let's check out Witch's Kitchen, see if anything's posted there as well. We're just slowly looking for new news. Okay, basically the same information is just circulating right now. As it would. But, very exciting stuff. Very exciting stuff. It'll be interesting to see what we actually do get, though. There's one thing that worries me. Since these are leaked and not confirmed cards, Konami could go the Harpy route and put Battle Tested at limit 3. They could. They definitely could. But we do know that Gaia Conqueror of Champions is already limit 1. I believe that was data mined. So, by that logic, we should know the limitations. But again, it's not on here either, so who knows? Oh, it just says down here, right? Gaia Conqueror of Champions will be limit 1. So it is how I thought. It will be a friend invitation campaign thing. I mean, again, everyone's speculating. They have the information they have. They know it is called a trial deck or whatever. No one truly knows. No one truly knows. Everyone is just speculating based on the information they have. It could be possible that it's a reward for the challenge duels. Yes, that's what I think would be really good. Like, put a quest in, which is like duel in the GRF or something. Or duel just in general, using the challenge deck. I think that'd be a really cool way to do it. I guess we'll just keep going for now then. So, Red Riser is the next one. During the turn, you normal summon this card. Add Chemicalizer Red from your graveyard to your hand. Now, anyone that's been paying attention will know that this is basically Galacterial Ore. But its stats are crap. Because it only has 300 attack and defense. We can use this with a skill. It's not great, realistically. 300 attack is not a lot. And trap destruction prevention is not great. So, Imagine you grind for 1 copy. Ugh. Yeah, that would kind of suck. But 1 copy might have more than 1 copy of some of these cards in. I think it's likely, if we only get a single copy of this deck, I wouldn't be surprised if there was 1 Swift Gaia, 1 Battle Tested, 1 Gaia Conqueror of Champions, and they start giving us like 3 copies of each other crap. Next up, Scales of Flame. Shuffle a Pyro type monster from your graveyard into the deck. 1 face-up Pyro monster on your field gains 500 attack until the end of this turn. Then you commit 1 face-up monster to your opponent's field, lose 500 attack to the end of this turn. So it's 1,000 difference. So if you're already winning the battle, you're doing 1,000 more damage. If you're not winning the battle, maybe now you're winning the battle. It's okay. It's nothing crazy. It's kind of worse Talisman Accelerate in a lot of ways. Have you only yapped today? That is most of the time on this channel, Desmude. Or Darth Victor even, sorry. We basically mostly yap. That is what we do here. Maybe the deck comes with 1 copy and the other 2 you get from missions. I mean, potentially. Again, all we can do is spitball. That's all we can do. We do not have anything factual. But I'm looking forward to it. Is the prize, well, what's prize card in? Maybe not. I don't know what's going on with that. Either way, we'll stop getting distracted. Look, guys, speed card. Speed card, guys. Who likes speed? Who wants speed? Dark Doriado. It's a pendulum monster. All earth, water, fire, and wind monsters you control gain 200 attack and defense for every attribute among the monsters you control. If this card is normal or special summoned, you can choose 4 monsters from your deck. 1 earth, 1 water, 1 fire, and 1 wind. Then place them on the top of your deck in any order. Whoa, that's crazy. And that's an 1800 guy. Neat. Neat. I don't know who this is for. Like, this is where someone's like, oh, no, actually, this did see play before. I'm like, I don't know. Bleach Mortar. This card's really cool. I do really like this card. This card should have been out ages ago, though. 1 face at level 7 or higher monster on your opponent's field loses 500 attack. Burn your opponent for 500. Now, the burn for 500 might be the reason we haven't seen this card yet. It's okay. But we are getting a boss monster that does also mention it. So this is Clean Beret Myrtle Colonel Mop. Your opponent has a face at level 7 high monster on the field. Place Bleach Mortar from your graveyard on top of your deck. Not great, because on top of the deck means you're drawing it next turn. If your draw for turn is just a 500 attack reduction and burn for 500, that's not great. What we're missing here is Clean Skatir. This is what we want. This is the guy that we need. So when you normal summon this card this turn, your opponent has a face at level 7 or high monster on their field. Shuffle Bleach Mortar from your graveyard into the deck, draw a card. So this is actually good, because we could summon this, put our burn reduction back into our deck, and then actually draw and get an actual plus off of it, which is actually kind of nice. We don't have this card. I don't know where my Clean Skatir is, but one of these days he might come out. Where is Cross Counter? So we ain't getting the Wash guy. No, we're not getting Wash Spray yet by the look of things. The true cross counter was the dragon players we beat along the way. Or just keep playing the Buster Blader piles. That seems to be what people are doing these days. You can probably do some funny stuff with Doriado if we have Sayuja Skuldred. To be fair, though, I think at that point it's Sayuja that's doing all of the work. And at that point, Doriado's just there for the ride. So we've already talked about it a lot, but we do have this Rush Duel Challenge campaign, which we are presuming is going to have something to do with Gaia, right? We don't really know, but we don't know. Retro, hello. What's the best deck in your opinion? Are we talking about new stuff that's been announced today? Because I would say the Gaia stuff in a vacuum, but it depends on what we get. If we only get 1 copy of the deck and it's not got many copies of the good cards in it, that could really hurt it. Of all time. Wait, you're going to have to be more specific. First off, are we talking speed or rush? Second off, are we talking about Duel Links only? But once we've limited that down, I can give you a better answer. New skills. Again, I'm not seeing anything in it that's like crazy good. This is probably the best skill. We'll see what actually happens with that. Then we've got these mats. This looks cool. Obviously, I think it would look better without the Duel Links logo on it, but it's still pretty cool. Speed. Best all-time deck in speed. I mean, I guess... like, I feel like an easy answer would be, like, Salads or Heroes, because they're the best ones at the moment. I don't know if anything in the past was, like, overpowered. Like, probably, like, pre-nerf. Something like FTK or something. But if I was saying what my favorite deck is, that's always going to be, like, Fluffle or Dragon Maids. And Dragon Maids just because I played it recently. Like, Fluffle's always going to be my main deck. This one with Meowda Star, as her new name is. It's neat, I guess. I don't know, none of these mats are like crazy. I think the Chemicalize is like the best one. My man on the back of a sleeve looks so great, I'm just saying. Look at this. Look at Flame Ruler. Then we get the icons. Yep, these are all fine. And that's kind of it for that. Yo, Tomato, looking to invest in Dark or Light Galaxy for future support. Which do you think is better? It's a difficult question to answer. Dark Galaxy has had more longevity physically. But a big part of that is they did get a brand new injection of cards in the Dark Matter cards. But because of the way skills work, we don't know if they're going to be as splashable when we go forward. So I would say if you like one over the other, I would just go for that. They're both going to be pretty good when they do get to their fusions. Both of their fusions are really, really good. The Light Galaxy deck is a bit more of like an all-in OTK deck that's pretty good at popping your opponent's back row. Whereas the Dark Galaxy deck is more board wiping and like gaining advantage. Like getting a little plussing from like your deck and graveyard. So they're both potentially going to be really good when they do eventually get fusion support. I personally like the Zombies deck. I assume you play, like, what's it, Balladrock? That guy? Which is pretty cool. And that is it, guys. That is us having gone over all of the leaks and the reveals. We've gone through these. We don't need to have these on the screen anymore, really. I suppose the other thing to talk about is we are going to be moving out of this meta, guys. Or at least we're going to reset this. This is going to go into the annals of history. And we will have a brand new spreadsheet with new tournament results on it. But this is getting a bit silly, right? We've got this lovely big blue chunk here, which we will actually change the formatting so this looks a bit nicer for you. We do this. There we go. So you see this big blue bit here. We don't really like this. This is 46% of top 4 points is dragons. We don't like that. 30% is psychic. That's okay. 30% is a lot more manageable than 46. That means almost half of topping decks, or at least top 4 decks, at least that are performing and based on how they're performing, are dragons. And that's not great for us. We'd really like this to be a bit more spread out. The last time it was like this bad, like if we go back to Requiem of Chaos, this is back when Psychic Fusion was the best deck. It was still only 34%. Like this is kind of a healthy meta, right? Like, don't get me wrong, this isn't perfect, but these are large, big chunks, and it's being spread around a lot, right? This is like a healthy meta. If we go back to Divine Genesis Blade, this is the worst that the meta's ever been. This is 53% Metari and 26% Light Galaxy. And we're on the way to that. If we just do, like, quick comparisons... Oh, not that one. We are getting close to that, everyone. That is not great. This is, again, probably the closest we've been to a Tier 0 meta since Metarium, which, again, was the closest we've been to a Tier 0 meta. But it's kind of a bit nutty. I can never go wrong with a Blue Eyes deck. Yeah, good old Blue Eyes, good old Blue Eyes. But, saying that, Psychic have been biting back a bit of vengeance. We have 12 tournament wins for Dragon Fusion and 10 wins for Psychic Fusion in the current meta. It'll be interesting to see where this goes in the future. But again, if we look at the actual points for top 4, it is not really close. 127 to 84 is a bit ridiculous. But, again, we will be having a brand new spreadsheet, brand new information, which should make things a bit more interesting. So, I suppose the thing to do next would be to take a look at some builds we can do with the new cards. Because I really want to see, like, what a hero deck's going to look like, for example. So, I mean, there's no reason not to add these, right? We'll add the brand new guys. Well, we're going to be probably playing you. We have to play you. We have to play you. I don't know if I'm bothering with you yet. It'll be interesting to see what we can actually come up with. That's kind of it for, like, the actual hero-specific cards. So now we're going to want at least one copy of Fusion. We're going to want Star Restart, probably at 3 copies. I mean, worst case scenario, we can take some out in a bit. We're going to want Avian Spell Tactics for shoresies. I guess Negate Attack's going to be our trap of choice. Probably Slime. I don't see us not playing Slime. We could play Shitotsu if we want. The hero support sucks. I would argue that the fusion is really good, personally. Okay, we can hover it. I think the Burst Wingman is really, really good. I think the other one's kind of meh. That's my initial thoughts. But again, I've played with it in OCG, so like have a bit of a different opinion, right? Or have a more influenced opinion, let's say. The question then becomes, what do we actually want to stick in here? Like, I think the Hero of the Yeast and Thingy combo is probably pretty good. Trying to get like the ratios right here is going to be so annoying, because we're probably going to want 2 of this, but we might not need 2. I don't think we can fit an Ether package in here and the Hero of the East package, realistically. 3 fusion? I don't know if we need 3 fusion. We're playing the 3-star restart. The skill is going to get us fusion anyway. Go ahead and get this up. Add fusion from your deck or graveyard to your hand. So I don't think we necessarily need it. I like Summoning Flute. Summoning Flute has potential. This did see play in the... what's it called? GRF. The last GRF. We'll hide that again. Yeah. Yeah, the fusion, okay, but the other literally useless. We have Talers. Why play the SR guy? The only reason to play it is if you want to play Tantalum. If you want to play Tantalum, then it's good. If you don't want to play Tantalum, it's just bad. So if you have no other monsters on your field and have 3 or more normal monsters in your graveyard, send this card from the graveyard and special summon 1 normal monster for your graveyard, face the field in defense position. So this did see play at 3 copies in the thingy deck. But I actually think this is better. Necroman the Third. So you normal summon this card this turn, and your opponent has a face at level 7 or higher. That's the downside. Your opponent has to have level 7 or higher. But it's a free plus if you do. And Necroman gets left on the field, and you send Necroman to the graveyard for the Hero Rush Rising skill. So I think that has some potential. Now, the question becomes, do we bother playing Tantalum? I think we'll have to test it with and without to actually see what ends up feeling good. I think the last thing we probably want is Piercing Samurai. Just because it's just really good. Things we could consider would be like Siesta Torero and All-Seeing Harvey. But I think this would be how I would have the deck as like a day 1 build. This is probably how I would test immediately. 3 fusions is overkill and just bricks. 2 is more than enough. Yeah, I don't really like the idea of playing 3 fusion. Plus, this is already 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 spell traps, which feels like a good number. We have like good access to our monsters in the graveyard with what we've got here. We've got good access to piercing. We can bring back Argent with the Shitotsu. This looks like it's kind of clean. This looks kind of clean. What is this missing? This is missing Talismanic Sealery. Now, I still think we probably are going to want Talismanic Sealery. I'm not really sure what we take out for it. Is the primary concern. Because TSA is still really good. It can still end games. Because even though Burst Wingman like doesn't really need TSA, it's really good to combine with Flame Wingman. Because Flame Wingman can still just like get in for a crap ton of burn damage. I play 2. He's a brick, but a useful brick clearing zones. Yeah. I don't think he's a bad card. I just wonder if we need him when we've got Burst Wingman now. That's kind of like my thoughts on it. The other thing is, what we could theoretically do is drop a Star Restart and include a... what's it called? Earthbound. Call of the Earthbound. Because... now, what have we done? Why is this not working? We're on Rush. We're on Call of. So, what's going on here? Has my internet died? No, it looks like we're fine. I don't know what's going on here. It's not letting me search. Either way, Call of the Earthbound could be something we potentially put in because it's a limit 3 card. The limit 3 is flex in this, so it's fine. It's fine. It's whatever. I'm playing 2 fusions and 1 restart, 2 TSA, 2 Avian, generic traps, and a tribute to the doomed to replace. Oh, we haven't even got a legend spell in it. I mean, the website stopped working, so we can't search anymore, apparently, which kind of sucks, but it is what it is. So that's kind of our first initial build. I think that's what I would do for that. Let's take a look at Gaia. I want to see what we can do with Gaia. We're going to want 2 of that, 3 of that if we can, 1 copy of that because we limit 1. Assuming we get 3 of that, we're playing 3 of it. We don't have any of the rest of that. We're going to want 3 of that. We can technically play this, but I don't see a reason to. We're going to want polymerization, which means we don't need a legend spell. Are we going to play regular Gaia is the next question. We're definitely playing 3 of this. I think we probably do play regular Gaia, because like we always have access to it, right? Even if it's just a single copy, we can dump it to the graveyard. Then if we ever fuse with it, we just get it back. And we can keep bringing it back with this and with Secret Order if we want to use the Secret Order. I'm no expert on Gaia, but isn't Gaia just bad? So Gaia is actually really, really good. Currently, in the OCG, so in the, you know, physical Rushdoll game, Gaia is the strongest deck in the game, arguably. Now, is it definitively? No, but it's been around for the last few formats. It's always been a tier 1 deck. And it hasn't really been nerfed. It's just some other decks have shown up that might be able to like challenge it for the top spot. So, saying that, we don't have all of the tools that make it the best deck. But when it originally did come out without all of those tools in place, it was still an okay deck. So like, I think Gaia has a lot of potential. Like, especially because we have like the new good fusions. The good fusions are genuinely really good. Like Swift Gaia is really good, and Gaia Conqueror of Champions is really, really good. The issue, and the skill's also not bad as well. The skill gives you just like 600 attack on your guys, which is also really nice. Are you ready for the rush month? It's one of those weird ones, Gaga, where I feel like, obviously we got the GRF, but I feel like we're going to get one massive injection of cards like on Friday, and then we're going to have nothing. It'll play in the GRF, but then we won't have any new cards for probably a long ass time after that. So I'm interested to see what happens with it. Let's put it that way. I mean, Essel's just straight up a good card, right? What are our restrictions on the skill? Let's find out. Monsters with 1600 or more attack in your deck are... Okay, so just can't be more than 1600 attack. That's the only restriction. That's not too bad then. So we can still play things like Piercing Samurai, which just work quite nicely with this. I mean, we're probably gonna want back row hate anyway. So, Avian is probably what we're gonna be after. And Avian is also really nice because we can use Avian to put a level 8 or lower warrior or wing beast from our graveyard on top of the deck, which means we can put our lovely Gaia back on top if it makes its way into our graveyard. So we can just draw into it, which can be really good. Harvey and Torero are warriors. We don't even need them to be warriors, which is like the funny thing. But yeah, you're not wrong. Like, they would probably still be really good additions. I'm not sure if we're going to have room for a 6-card package is the only thing. Probably going to have this. We're going to have Slime. We're probably going to want this because we're going to be against dragons a lot. What is... I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. We already have so many spell traps. I mean, Siesta's still not bad to put cards back into our deck. We could do this for now. We can't run a legend monster. Oh, we could run a legend monster, but it has to be low attack. Are there any legend monsters worth playing? In fact, are there any legend... We can run the Flame Ruler. Is that it? We can run Flame Ruler. That is the only legend monster we're allowed to run in this deck. That's actually really funny. If we want a legend monster, we can get a 1600 defender. We will have even a new band list, don't forget. But we probably won't get that until after GRF, is what I would expect. Hello, Sabers, by the way. Well, for Avian, Warriors. This doesn't look bad. I think I would probably test with this for a few games, and then I would very quickly work out the stuff I don't like. Maybe we cut back on Curse of Dragon. We probably don't need 3. What's the exact wording on the skill? We can send a normal monster from your deck or your graveyard, or to your graveyard. Make a face-up level 5 or higher monster on your field, gain 600 attack. Do we need more than 1 Curse of Dragon then? Because like the skill's gonna get it most of the time. The only issue is once it's in the graveyard, we then have to get it back with this, or we're not getting it back at all. Veteran Gaia only comes out cheaper as well if we tribute over a Curse of Dragon, so we'll probably want 1 or 2. I don't think we'll be going 3 copies. Basically, you're not playing any legend monsters with this deck. Yeah. That is the gist. But we could do this. We might want to put regular Curse of Dragon back up to 2. But I am unsure. Basically, we can just keep dumping Curse of Dragon into the graveyard every single turn. The only issue with that is we will never, ever, ever get Veteran's effect off unless we get the spell card. I'd probably still test this and then see how it feels and then try it after that. But again, you always get a better feel for the deck once you've played it a few times. But like on paper, this looks okay. Like it doesn't look crazy by any stretch, but like it looks okay. Alright, let's try another one. What was the other decks that we wanted to look at? Yes. Oh, the Pyro deck just kind of makes me sad. I really want to play the Pyro deck, but I don't really see what it's gonna do. The next interesting deck is probably Heliacal Riser. I guess we'll check that out. I mean, might as well just throw all these in. They're all just fantastic cards. Okay. Yeah. We'll put that in as well for now, why not? Heliacal. 1, 2, 3. We're probably playing Oblivion in some number. Does the skill send Oblivion? Or is it only low levels? A normal monster. Okay, so we can just send Oblivion. So we might only need a single copy of Oblivion then. We want our 1 copy of Zyphos, because that's how the deck works. I forget what the card is. Galacterial Ore, I think it is. I know I'm very late, but what are your thoughts on the ban list and box? So to kind of cut it down quickly, I think Elemental Hero Burst Wingman is like a really good card, but I don't think it stands up to the current best decks. I think Cyber Rush Dragon is a neat little tool that I think you'll primarily use to dig for like a negate attack. And other than that, it's going to be mostly useless. I think Jointech Rushhorn is actually going to be the better support for Cyber Dragon, because give this to a Cyber Twin. Have a 3100 attack, double attack, and pierce is really good. I think Vanishing Heliacal Riser is okay. I don't know if this is going to outperform the current Light Galaxy deck we have. And then by extension, I'm pretty sure it is not going to do anything to the current 2 best decks. And then Pyro and Sea Serpent feel like they're undercooked. I feel like we're missing like a really good skill or a really good card to like bring it all together. We seem to like lacking anything. And so it kind of feels like Pyro's just kind of bad. And Sea Serpent has like some cool stuff it can do, but it's neither of these decks beat set 3. And neither of them break boards super well. Like they're both good at doing the same thing, which is like summoning guys onto the board. And then those guys don't really do anything once they're on the board. So it's like, I don't know. It's underwhelming. It's underwhelming. Like, these are going to be good at building boards. They're going to be okay at breaking boards. They're going to be really bad at getting damage in. That's kind of how I look at it. Now you've done the review of the boxes, go through all the new cards and rank them from most to least attractive. I mean, the most attractive is Chemical Eye Salamander. I'm sorry. If anyone disagrees, they're just wrong. Who's the least attractive? We can do that one quite easily. Probably Head Bad Cachalot. I mean, come on, bro. Although, to be fair, Sue Volcano is a pretty good looking card. Like, look at that face. Look at that face. How can you not love that? What do we... want... So we need level 4s, right? That was kind of a big thing. The deck has to be filled with galaxy monsters. And we need to summon level 4 monsters exactly. They have to be light galaxy as well. I believe this skill does lock us to light galaxy. So we're playing this, no matter what. We're probably playing this. And then it's like, do we want like Epherai or Strange Traveler? What's the exact wording on them? So this only boosts Transam Linak. This one is... One face-up monster on your opponent's field loses 500 attack. Hey, that's probably worth using. Head bad. Exactly. Exactly. Head bad equals immediate no. Let's go back and read the skill again. So, we have to summon a level 4. We have to use light galaxy monsters, send a normal monster or Xiphos from the deck to the graveyard. So I guess we want 2 copies of Secret Order in here still, right? One, two, three, four, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, we're going to take this out for sure. I think we then want our Universal Storms. But we have so many spell traps now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I guess this doesn't count because we're going to like throw it in the bin or put it into our hand. These are just monsters, so they don't really count. And Pot of Greed is also just 2 more draws, so I don't know if that really counts either. So if we just discount all of them, it's now 3, 4, 5, 6 spell traps, which is actually kind of fine. What about the baby like Galaxy and the level 8 it summons easier? So you're talking about the Universe Stormbringer skill, which summons the double attacker whose name is... Has a name. Definitely has a name. Let's look at it. Let's look it up. Where is he? I think Klein's also good. This one. Greystorm Reverie. That's the one. Send one of the cards from your field to the graveyard. Gains 500 attack. That's not a very good effect. If no spell traps are on the field, this card can make it to 2 attacks on monsters. We're also not reliably going to be able to do that. In fact, we want to put spell traps on our field. We already have the piercing from this, so we don't necessarily need the double attack. I don't think we're going to get the double attack off very often. These are all level 7, so you can't even use Predictor to get it back. It doesn't seem great at first look. Let's put it that way. I'd almost rather just have, like, Klein. Like, Klein's just solid. I mean, again, I don't think we need more than 1 Oblivion. The issue is, if we don't draw bosses, this deck is really not going to do anything. This is kind of a draw your bosses or die kind of deck. But, I mean, the deck locks us into, like, Galaxy anyway, so we don't really get anything to say about that. I mean, Trillio's neat. So this only adds normals, so we can't get back Heliacal Riser. How are we getting back Heliacal Riser when it goes to the graveyard? We have no recycling. Vanilla Light Galaxy makes me want to commit Sudoku. I mean, that's not great. That's not great. Sora Pio is just, it's so annoying to get the effect off. I don't even know if it's worth it. The main issue I see that we're having right now is we don't have good ways to get back our Heliacal Riser if they will end up in the bin. Other than that, this is probably roughly how the deck would look. Like maybe we just put a couple of Talismanic Seal Arrays, but that always feels really awkward. You really want monsters that recycle? But we just don't have any yet. That's the big issue we're having right now. We don't have any of our recycling Light Galaxy cards. There we go. It's Cycling. Cycling is our recycler. But Cycling is just so eh. It's so eh. But this is probably roughly the build that I would do day one. I mean, it looks okay. Alright, let's take a look at Pyro. Let's take a look at Pyro. What can we do with Pyro? The first things first, which skill are we using? This skill locks us into Fire Pyro, but does let us... This skill just seems so mid. Send the top 3 cards of your deck to the graveyard. If you do not have a face-up level 7 or higher monster on your field, you can also add a level 7 or lower monster with 1500 or more defense. What does this lock us into? This has to be Pyro. And we can't have 100... They have to have 100 or more defense. Okay. So we want you. You go without saying. Probably have you. So we can't use Yukio 0 defense. We can't use Yukio 0 defense. We're going to be using Achi. We will certainly... We'll probably use you. Having any way to cheat guys out is going to be extra value in this deck because we will always have boss monsters, right? Because of the way the skill works. Send the top 3 cards of your deck to the graveyard, then if you do not have a face at level 7 or higher effect monster on the field, you can add a level 7 or lower. So we can just always keep getting back our bosses as long as they are in the graveyard first, right? We're going to want more bosses than just that. We can't include our noodles, so it has to be Chromatographicus. If we're going to include Chromatographicus, we might as well put Secret Order in, right? Because if we could just have a bunch of them anyway. And we're going to be milling 3 cards every turn. So now if we don't have any other limit 3 necessity, we can just do that. We'll go ahead and put this in, we'll put this in, we'll put this in, we'll put this in. These are all kind of important cards for the current meta. Fiery Blaze, we're probably going to want... If I can learn how to spell. I was just broken again. Oh no, this is the wrong section. We're just being stupid. We'll want this. Yes, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Not a bad lineup at the moment. Normal Achi? Yes, we will be putting normal Achi in. We haven't finished going through our Pyros yet. Is there anything else down here? This is just bad, like straight up. Do we just take like 1500 beaters? The only problem is... Once again, like, what does this deck do? We're really, really good at just slamming bosses onto the board. We're really good at recycling bosses. We have an insane grind game with this deck. We do just die to Dragon Fusion summoning a fusion monster and killing us. That is, I think, where this is going to fall apart a little bit. Which is not ideal, right? It's really not ideal. We could just like slap just some statted guys. I don't think like Nitro Dog's worth running. Like this isn't like a burn deck. Interestingly, we can actually use our skill to get back like Achi, or sorry, Blaze, or was it Ember? It's Ember, and Ruler. We can get back all of them, which is kind of cool. Now, what's the exact wording on Bear? If you have no other monsters on your field, place a Pyro-type monster from your graveyard on the bottom of your deck, add a Pyro-type normal monster from your graveyard to your hand. So this also just gets you back your Chromatographicus, which is also really good. Doesn't everything just die to Dragon Fusion, though? Yes, but at least some other decks can, like, pierce, right? Like, that's the issue, right? So Dragon Fusion will sit there and put everything in defense until they're ready to kill you. Or they're ready to do, like, a big push to get a ton of damage in. So the way that you have to kind of combat it is you have to be able to put enough pressure on them. You need to apply pressure through set 3. We have, like, no piercing. We have no burn. We have no way to destroy monsters. We have no way to flip monsters up. All we do is summon out Guy's good. which is just not good enough in this current meta. Whereas, like, Gaia, we can attack directly. We can get a load of piercing. If we go Heliacal Riser, again, we can get piercing on our guys. We can at least do something, right? I feel like this deck just doesn't do anything. Like, this deck is going to be, like, good against, like, Cyber Dragons, right? Time to main deck Pierce. Exactly. That's what we're worried about, though. Is we're going to have to literally do something like that. I mean, we're going to put Jarmalu in, because it's, like, fine. And then we only have one last spot anyway. Probably a Spell Trap, but, like, normal monsters are still good, because you can use them with and Magma Bear, which is pretty good. We, once again, have no way to recycle, which is a little bit sad. Oh, I guess it's just Salamander, right? Salamander's our recycler. We don't have to care about anything else. Just Salamander will do it all on its own. I mean, yeah, this is it. This is kind of roughly my day one build, I think. Like, this looks pretty good. I'm quite happy with how this looks. Realistically. But with that being said, I think it is time for us to end the stream. So, we have had quite a good stream today, realistically. We are going to go ahead and raid into How and see what they're doing. But we will be back again on Friday when the new box drops. Usually it would be Thursday. We are moving our Thursday stream to Friday. So if you are here for the Thursday stream, you have to come on the Friday to watch it, where we will be playing with the new stuff, probably opening some new boxes. We are going to go and say hello to How. How is currently playing some speed. So make sure everyone says hello to How when we drop in. But thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.
No, Kyogre just takes one slot in your deck. This card takes one extra slot and 4 monsters in the field. I think you're also forgetting it negates every monster on the field. Okay, then what? Oh my god, Tomato. How are you doing, Tomato?